Hello, dear viewers! We are glad to welcome our partners and colleagues, system integrators and business owners to our online conference, Passenger Transport Driving the Industry with Telematic Tools. This conference is organized by Gurtam, the developer of one of the leading telematics solutions in the world, Wialon. My name is Victoria Suskova. I am a product manager of NimBus, an advanced application for passenger transport monitoring developed by Gurtam. And right beside me is my colleague, Tim Sherbakov, a senior Wialon implementation manager.
Hello everyone, it is so nice to see you, and we hope that you enjoy this event, really enjoy this event, because we have so many interesting presentations to see today and also lots of interesting things to discuss.
Traditionally, Gurtam invests a lot of effort into the development of the partner community, organization of various meetings and conferences, and exchange of experience. Unfortunately, starting from the last year, we had almost completely abandoned traditional offline events. But we found an effective replacement. In 2020, we held 50 online meetups on various relevant topics in 3 languages. And this year, we decided to try a new format and go even further. We launched a series of events called IoT Spring. Each month is dedicated to a specific business area. During the month, we cover the selected topic in the blog and social networks, collect together all the materials on the topic accumulated over the years, and at the end of each month, we hold a thematic online conference, just like the one you're attending right now. Tim, could you please share some details about this conference dedicated to passenger transportation?
Sure, Victoria. Today's event will be dedicated to experience sharing and discussion about the growing role of telematics in passenger transportation. We will be able to hear experts from 10 countries of the world, which will give us an idea what's going on the local markets, and by overviewing the ideas and solutions, we will be able to see international trends and also get a vision of where passenger telematics is moving today. Yeah, as I told you, experts from Latin America and Asia Pacific will tell you about transport modernization and the easiest way to monitor transportation, and also additional ideas in passenger management. After that, my colleague Oleg Zharkovsky, Deputy Head of Technical Consulting and Wialon Trainers Team Lead, will tell us what kind of standard Wialon features can be used for passenger transportation solutions. We will also hear experts from the Middle East and Asia Pacific who will present a use case about taxi management solution, and another presentation will be about the solution for corporate transportation. After that, we will have a 10-minute break in the middle of our conference for some refreshments. This break will be followed by a presentation regarding the solution for school bus tracking and management. Then we will also hear the presentation about an Uber-like solution, and my colleague Victoria will also explain you, will deliver a presentation for about NimBus, the advanced solution for public transportation management. Followed by that, we'll have a presentation regarding the real use case. We'll see how NimBus has been implemented, and we will hear a very interesting use case regarding the IoT hardware, how it has been developed and how it helps.
Okay, team, I'll just add to this agenda that please subscribe and click the notification bell to be aware of the new content. And to get the best picture quality, please make sure you have 1080p selected in the right corner of your player. Thank you, and here begin. In our first presentation, we will give you a brief overview of the passenger transportation industry, outline the main parties involved in the process and their needs. Then we'll discuss typical challenges of public and corporate transportation and review the ways IoT can help to meet these challenges. But let's start with the following question. What is the main goal of public transportation? The answer may sound pretty obvious, but for better understanding of the processes, it is essential to remember it. We are starting with the following question. What is the main goal of passenger transportation? The answer may sound pretty obvious, but for better understanding of the processes, it's essential to remember it. So, the main goal of passenger transportation is to provide quality service to passengers so they can get to their destination safely and on time. Bearing this thought in mind, we will look at this process from different perspectives. And we will start from the overview of the industry. Let's find out how different passenger transportation can be depending on the tasks needed to be solved. So, the first and the most obvious sphere is public transport. This alternative for personal transportation is very common. All of us are familiar with it. Here we usually deal with regular routes, working on schedule, and distribution of passenger traffic. One of the trends here is to create a special ecosystem with many integrated devices that provide high-quality service to passengers. Ticketing system, video surveillance, passenger counting sensors, information displays inside the bus and at the stops. All of these helps the carrier to make public transport more efficient and passengers' experience more pleasant. The second sphere is corporate transport. The most common example here is to help employees to get from home to work, or vice versa. A solution for passengers is very important here. Their needs are usually to see available schedules, to book a ride for a specific route, follow the vehicle's location on the map. Also, sometimes passenger ID control is needed, usually using RFID. For student transport, it's also very important to control if a student hops on a bus or not, so passenger ID control is pretty common here too. Also, the routes and rides schedules are connected to the school's class schedules, so they may change a bit more often. Another thing needed is a tool for the parents so they can control their children's location and ensure their safety. Intercity transport is similar to public transport in some ways, but has its peculiarities. Along with buses, we can name here railways transport and even river transport. Because of the long distances, there are usually fewer stopping points, and it may also be challenging to get data all the time, as network coverage may be incomplete. As for taxi and limo services, there's a whole different working pattern. In this sphere, it's essential both to interact with passengers and to distribute rides between riders. Uber showed us a revolutionary way to solve the traditional tasks, and as a result, it changed the whole business sphere. Ride sharing is a relatively new concept that became available only because of technological development. Here, drivers are at the same time passengers, which imposes some additional regulations and shift of responsibility. I mentioned only 6 spheres here, but that's not all. Each sphere has its own unique features and needs depending on the region and the company's processes. Also, there are many challenging opportunities in between of these spheres I mentioned. And discussing the needs and challenges, we will pay a bit more attention at public transport and corporate transport, but the use cases from our partners will cover other spheres as well. Tim, so what else should we keep in mind?
Yes, one more thing that we shall keep in mind is the overall context. For example, there are some governmental requirements for the industry, and it is obligatory to meet those requirements. So sometimes the project goal is not only about making the processes more efficient, but also to meet these regulatory requirements and win the tender, for example. For sure, we can also say that safety is essential because drivers deal with people's lives, and people's lives are usually more precious than the most expensive goods. So this aspect has become even more important during the last year because of the pandemic, because of the COVID-19. Now we can add social distancing and mask wearing. So this aspect shall be kept under control as well. As Victoria already mentioned, there are lots of differences in the business process, even within one sphere. So in order to create a special solution that perfectly fits all the requirements, it's often necessary to improvise and use some non-standard solutions. Now we know about the variety of spheres where passenger transportation takes place. And to better understand the challenges of public and corporate transportation, let's have a look at all the parties that are involved in this process and find out more about the needs of these parties.
Okay, Tim, I agree. Let's start with...
Yes. As you remember, the projects can be very different, but anyhow, there are some similarities because there are always passengers, there are always drivers, some dispatchers, some customer controlling organization or a customer. So they all have different needs, but the main goal is the same, is to perform a safe trip on time. And now, Victoria, can you share more information about parties that are usually involved in this process?
Sure, Tim. You see, I'm always caring about the passengers, so I'm just diving in. Okay, so let's start with the passengers. Basically, the main goal for them is to get information on where and when to go to make their trip. Whether it is public or corporate transportation, it doesn't matter here. Of course, they want a driver to go safely, and also they don't want to wait too long if possible. So it's better to minimize delays. There can be additional needs like booking a transfer for corporate transport, but these mentioned are the main ones. Now let's talk about drivers. The main goal for them is to perform all the planned trips, as their salaries often depend on their performance. Also, sometimes they need to know when to speed up or slow down because of road conditions or some deviations from the schedule. And there's no harm in extra reminders on the way because human errors still can take place. As for the dispatchers, their job is to make sure that all the vehicles go where and when needed. To do that, they need to see the big picture and monitor all the vehicles and react to deviations from the planning. Also, they usually interact with drivers and navigate them if needed. And last but not least, our customer or some kind of controlling organization. Their needs may sound very simple and obvious, but they usually combine all the requirements of the project, and also they are strongly connected to all the other needs I already mentioned. Basically, it's two stages: to solve the problem of the project and to make sure everything works smoothly. Depending on the project, business goals can be different, but they usually include matching planned trips with actually performed ones, information on deviations, and reports on drivers' performance. Tim, and what are the typical challenges that all these parties face?
Victoria, challenges are usually connected to each other and usually affect more than one party. As the main goal of the whole process is the same, but anyway, we can roughly divide the reasons into three main categories: the lack of data, the lack of control, and inefficiency of tools. So let us just talk a little bit about these challenges in details. So the lack of data is the most common issue for all the participants, and there may be various challenges related. So let me just name a few of them. For example, inability to get real-time location of the vehicle or when it arrives to a particular stop. If there is no such information, passengers cannot plan their trip properly. Or, for example, drivers that are unaware of violations. So if they are unaware of violations they make, unless there is some kind of a device or a buzzer that can warn them, they just keep doing the violations. Or, for example, making appropriate payments to drivers. The management team needs to know how to pay the driver, and they need to take the working time or rides or mileage into account. The next category is the lack of control. So the lack of control is the most important thing for the customers, because it often helps to solve different issues, business issues. For instance, everyone wants to ensure the road safety. Harsh drivers' behavior and speed limit violations can take place, but without telematics solutions, it is not possible to track such violations and keep them under control. Or, for example, drivers stealing payments. Unless you have some kind of a ticketing system or some other means of control, you won't be able to calculate how much money you receive if your drivers accept payments from passengers. Unauthorized trips or vehicle usage, when your drivers are using vehicles outside the schedule, they go off planned routes, for example. Another issue is no proof in case of conflict situations, because there is no reliable data on ride performance, or there is no video surveillance to prove something. And another category is the inefficiency of tools. It may not be the major challenge, but it usually affects the entire process, and in long term, these issues make transportation business less efficient. So here we can mention an old software with an unfriendly interface, or even no software at all. So this usually leads to slow decision-making process and ineffective management. Then also management companies try to maintain the efficiency and utilization of the fleet. And if you have a really big fleet, it's hard to maintain it without a special software, fleet management software. So if you don't use the software, the fleet structure can be chaotic, and you can't make sure that your fleet is properly utilized to avoid costly idlings. Then we have difficulties with planning and planning any kind of improvements. For example, if we want to improve the route network, or again improve the utilization, we need to have such software. And of course, we need to minimize human errors. I mean, every manager wants to minimize the human errors, which are part of our everyday life, but it's not possible to minimize unless you use the fleet management software. Finally, some traffic delays that prevent delivering passengers or company employees on time. Now, Victoria, can you tell us how IoT can help to meet these challenges?
Sure, Tim, with great pleasure. So now let's think about the ways GPS tracking and fleet management systems can help to meet these challenges. As for many technological solutions, the main asset here is data. In our case, from GPS trackers. Knowledge is power indeed. The trick is to use this data in order to help business and make some conclusions that lead to required actions. So basically the data from GPS trackers can be applied to any projects in two ways. You can use real-time data, that is up-to-date information on a vehicle's location and many important parameters from its sensors. Another way is to work with the recorded data, a history of real-time data. You can combine the recorded data on different vehicles in any way you want in order to get the right perspective. So now let's have a closer look at both ways and the results you can get. So first I will give you some examples of how real-time data can be used to meet the needs of the parties involved that we discussed earlier. First of all, mobile app for passengers seems to be an essential requirement for any passenger transportation project these days. People got used to getting information from their mobile devices, and as we remember, passengers want to avoid waiting. So they are less interested in their planned schedules. They need adjusted data, usually called estimated time of arrival, or just ETA. Navigation information for drivers is usually implemented as an integrated device. This device can show the obtained real-time data and notifications that are important for the drivers, say to hurry up or to slow down if needed. Specialized systems for the dispatchers can be useful in many ways. One of the most obvious examples is special notifications triggered by this kind of system. Real-time data can be compared with the plan and used to draw the dispatcher's attention in case something goes wrong and additional actions are needed. Maybe one of the vehicles broke down and it's needed to send a substitute, or one of the drivers goes too fast. Timely notifications can help in these cases. And even if everything goes by plan, it's simply impossible to watch many vehicles closely at the same time. That's why summary information on all the controlled vehicles is also valuable. Usually there is some kind of dashboard with summarized information so that the dispatcher can easily check all the essential statuses. Now let's see what else we can get from IoT solutions. Unlike real-time data, the recorded data is essential for any kind of analysis and optimization of business processes. In other words, passengers, drivers, and dispatchers take their part in using real-time data and created the correct history of the recorded data. The customers or controlling organizations mostly use this information in different ways with the help of specialized systems or customized solutions. For example, analysis of drivers' performance usually includes control of road safety, as Timur mentioned, and matching their planned performance with the actual one. The data can be used to manage payments to drivers. Reports on the performed rides can help to compare work results for different carriers and to see the big picture in detail. Also, recorded data can be used for optimization of transport routes. There are systems specialized in this matter that help to find the most efficient routes and calculate planned schedules for them. In the long term, it helps to use all the resources more effectively. Sending data to ERP systems may be useful for customized solutions when the system's opportunities are just not enough, or if there is a special way to present data in the company. And also recorded data can be used for maintaining efficiency of the fleet and keeping customers informed about vehicles' condition. Tim, do you have anything to add?
Sure, I just want to add one important thing is that you can actually add some other essential data and expand the project's opportunities if you use different types of integrations, like for example RFID systems for identifying drivers and passengers, passenger counting sensors, passenger information systems, ticketing systems, announcement systems, video surveillance solutions. Even though these solutions tend to be complex, the industry deals with a number of various needs, and as you can see from our presentation, and based on our experience, the projects that combine all of these tools have a greater chance for success. So Victoria, what are your final thoughts?
Well, in conclusion, I must say that this industry is very interesting, multidimensional and challenging. But all the changes IoT brings to it definitely make passenger transportation more pleasant and effective for all the parties involved. I hope now our audience has a better understanding of the passenger transportation industry, its challenges, and the ways telematics and IoT can help to face them.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just heard how telematics helps to meet the challenges of passenger transportation. And now we are moving to the most interesting part of our conference, where telematics experts from all over the world will share their valuable experience in the passenger transportation sphere. Each speaker will be able to answer questions, so please feel free to post them in the YouTube chat to find out more. And our first presentation will be delivered by Mr. Jose Juan Brito Gomez, Director General at SignMX.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure I'm here. Thank you to Gurtam for this kind of methods. Okay. The topic is easiest way to monitor personal transportation. Okay, the topics are personal transportation for industry, Sorry. Personal transportation in Mexico, problems with personal transport in Mexico, problems with people who use the transport, and how can NimBus help to monitor and minimize problems like this? Okay, let's start with personal transportation for industry in Mexico. Okay, in Mexico, public transport have a lot of problems. For that reason, employees don't use this service to go to the work. Companies use personal transport to carry their employees and minimize problems with late arrives to work. Yeah. The personal transport are those vehicles like vans or like buses, yeah, and these transports have a road to go ahead. These determine different stops where employees can wait for the transport. Then, and users can come in. Every stop have a place in the road and time to arrive. And the principal objective is to arrive to the factory 5 or 10 minutes before entrance hour. Okay. For that, they have problems with personal transport in Mexico. Like this. Sometimes some drivers start late the road. This is typical in Mexico. Yeah. Drivers skip some stops, and because of this, there are excess limit of velocity, and this can provoke accidents. Okay, let me say something. In Mexico, companies, or I think in all the world, companies start early in the morning their operations and need to employees to be ready to work. But what happened? The driver for the personal transport get out of their bed 10 minutes later. 10 minutes late. Sorry. Okay, that's the first problem, and for that reason, drivers start late the road, and these roads, these drivers skip some stops. Yeah, skip some stops, and because of this, there are excess limit of velocity. It could provoke accidents because drivers start to accelerate and have excess velocity, and it can provoke accidents. Plus of that, vehicles consume more fuel, and then the maintenance increase. Okay, there are some problems too with people who use the transport. Okay, sometimes people who use the transport doesn't arrive early to the stops. Yeah, employees, when this happens, employees say to the boss, transport arrive up, and because of they can arrive early to the work. This is a problem for boss, because the employees doesn't come early to work, and people, or other problem is people doesn't take the transportation in a place that is their stop. Yeah. I think there are just there are just few problems with personal transport. I'm sure you know some other problems in your country. Yeah. Okay. How can NimBus help to monitor and minimize problems like this? Okay. With NimBus, we can create routes and stop with schedules. Yeah, when we create routes in NimBus, we can see the road in a timeline who have some circles, and these circles can know if the vehicle is late in the stop or is early in the stop, or it's okay the time, if the time in the stop, if they arrive on time in the stop, and the schedule, it's okay. With NimBus, it's easy to view the roads in real time to determine if the units it's moving and or have some delay, overtaking, or it's on time. And we could know if the driver skips some stops. Okay, in Mexico, drivers skip some stops because sometimes they know that people don't stay in the stop. Yeah, and then they skip stops. But what happened with that? Okay, what happened? They have a road and they need to follow the road, and this is a problem. And with NimBus, we can know if they skip stops, and bus can say to the driver that they need to follow the road. They need to follow the road. Yeah. NimBus have some reports to analyze the road. These reports are very easy to obtain. You just need a few clicks to obtain the reports for the road, and this could help to improve the road or to improve the service. With these reports, we can view arrives, if the arrives is on time in every stop, and you could know how many stops did and which one did. With NimBus, you could share a link with users. They could know if the unit is coming, going, or which stop are. This is very useful because people who use the personal transport, they want to know if the vehicle is on the road, and if the vehicle stops stop on time, or if the vehicle are late or are early in the stop. For people who use the transport, it's too easy to know to know that just to see a map. Yeah, we can share a link, and the people just need to click on the link and go to the map to know if the vehicle is on time in the stop. Yeah. Okay. With NimBus, we could help to detect early problems in the road. For example, you could generate a test stop where the vehicle need to arrive and it can know if the road starts on time or have some time to communicate with driver to detect any issue. I think it's too easy to monitoring for people who use in real time the roads. Sorry, for people who see in real time the roads, it's too easy to know something about the stops, because just need to see the color on the stop. Gray, a color gray for a good arrive, a color yellow for an early arrive, or a red for a late arrive. It's too easy to monitor the stops, and people who see in real time how to move vehicle just need to learn these colors, gray, yellow, and red, to know if the vehicle is late, is early, or it's on time. Okay, I think this is the best part of NimBus. NimBus help to improve the roads. NimBus could help to monitor the roads, to monitor the stops, and minimize problems like this. Problems like people come late to stops, and people don't stay here. People going, and then the vehicle come to the stop and go. Yeah. And I think NimBus have a lot of advantage to people. Is special way to monitor roads. It's not a typical GPS monitoring. Yeah, and this is special for the industry to personal transport. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. I'm always very glad to hear about any NimBus-based projects, as I can see the result of my team's work. So thank you very much for sharing your use case with us. Unfortunately, we're a bit running out of time, so no time for questions here. Wait, my colleagues corrected me.
Yes, just we have a question from the audience. So
the question is, which one and why is the best advantage to use NimBus for the project in Mexico?
Okay, I think there are a lot of advantages, but one of the best is the road administration, because it's too easy to monitor, and it's quick to view a report. And otherwise, customers want a special platform for this kind of transport, and not a general GPS platform. And NimBus is a special for that reason. Yeah, NimBus have a lot of advantage, but the best part is to monitor in easy way.
Okay, Jose, thank you very much for your question. And let me thank you for your presentation that you have delivered. We wish you great success with your further projects, and goodbye.
Goodbye, Jose. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me announce the next speaker. Our next presentation is based on a real use case. The government of Philippines has introduced an obligatory law according to which all buses within the country must be equipped with GPS tracking devices. So let's see what kind of changes have been made and the project implemented by our partner, Mr. Benji Javier, Chief Executive Officer of Infinite Solutions.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Tim and Victoria, for the kind introduction. It is a pleasure to be a part of one of your events once again. Well, I think that my presentation will connect perfectly with yours. Actually, I think you did a great job, and well, I'm looking forward to engaging in a nice conversation and talk a little bit about passenger management and our concept of passenger management. So, well, we can start at any time. I don't see the presentation, but I can start. Okay, great. Scan your ticket. I chose a name because everything begins, in my opinion, in boarding the transportation unit. So let's begin. Here's a question. Does passenger management mean the same to everyone? Well, kind of. So hear me out. I mentioned that for me, things start with a process to board the unit. Here we have some means of transportation: a car, a plane, a train, a bus, a ship, and, well, a tablet. So I'll go through the boarding process for each one of those, and we will be able to see similar and diverging elements between each other. Let's start with a taxi. You're on the street, you raise your hand and yell. Your access to the unit depends on the driver's willingness to stop and pick you up. Once they stop, you have to agree on a fare to your destination. Either you have a meter on the cab or you settle on a price. Done. You're now a passenger. Uber. On your phone or tablet, you request a ride to a specific destination, and the app shows you a price estimation. You accept, and the app matches you to a driver. The driver arrives to your initial location, and you verify that it fits with the details on your app. Done. You are a passenger. Then we have the bus. Usually, you either hold a card or a ticket to access the transportation unit. The user presents the ticket or card while boarding the unit, and done. They become a passenger. Subway. There is a predetermined fee for accessing the system, similar to the bus that we saw before. You buy a ticket or a card for some destination or trips. And by presenting the ticket or card, we can access the transportation system. In short, you must buy a ticket in advance to become a passenger. So now let's go with the train. It's very similar to the subway, and you need a ticket. The main difference is that the ticket might or might not have the passenger's name printed. So this is the second transportation method that we have seen where the name of a passenger is important, the Uber and now the train. Plane. The plane, on the other hand, it requires to identify the passenger every time. We all know this. However, the boarding process is similar to ones we have seen before. Actually, the last four transportation methods, the bus, the subway, the train, and the plane, all require tickets to board them, and they must be scanned or reviewed before boarding. However, the ticket's condition vary, and in each of them, there is some form of access control and boarding pass. The taxi might be the exception, but we all know that's the one that is kind of struggling right now. A little bit outdated. I actually don't remember when was the last time I took an actual cab. So that's actually where the core similarities end. Once we board the different units, things become different. However, I dare to ask, how different? We have either found ourselves or heard someone saying, "Excuse me, you're in my seat." This is a very common expression when we travel, or a similar expression, and we tend to look at our boarding pass to verify where we should locate within that unit. This, of course, changes wildly across systems. It's not the same to find your seat on a plane or to find your seat on a train or a ship or a bus. It changes. However, you do have to find a seat. To simplify all of this that we've been saying, and just to address the problem per se, we'll ask 3 questions and then analyze the different elements, perks, and conditions that, in our opinion, can shape how we manage passengers. Those questions are who, when, and where. We'll ask these questions to the transportation methods we saw before. Taxi. Who rides the taxi? Anyone. You raise your hand, you yell, there you go. You get the taxi. When do you travel? Right away. Where? Anywhere you want to go. A specific destination. Then you have the Uber. Who rides? The user. Where? Anywhere they want to go. When? Now or later. You can probably schedule that trip to the airport you have tomorrow. Then we have bus and subway. Who rides? The ticket holder or the card holder. Whenever they need to. The system is open. But the location, the destination is actually route-based. They rely on the stops that this transportation methods has, coordinated. Same goes with the train regarding the route-based method. Who writes? The ticket holder. Remember that this ticket might or might not have a name on it. The thing that changes here is that for train travel, you have a set date instead of, for example, the subway where you just simply access the system whenever you want. Here you have a date where you can hop into the train and go to your end destination. Similar thing happens with the plane where you have an itinerary. Who writes? The ticket holder. When? In the set date. Where? To the destination port. So now the conversation has really led us to solve this puzzle, where the elements seem to be similar and entirely different at the same time. So let's break down the boarding pass into different layers. We layered the boarding pass and came up with a set of elements, perks, and conditions relevant to managing passengers. The first layer, we call it Welcome Aboard. It's related to QRs, boarding passes, tickets, and so on. Anything that gets the passenger into the transportation unit. The most important thing here is that it refers to the ID used to identify a passenger. It's important to know that in our opinion, the basis of passenger management is to consider each passenger a single ID or an ID, depending on the cases or use case. Moving on, then we have the second layer, the from and to layer. The thing is that trips start and end, and that's a solid truth. What goes in the middle are simply settings. Is that trip, route-based? It goes to a specific destination? Is it bound by dates? Is it activated by a location or something like that? Again, settings. Then we have a third layer called perks, or we call perks, also conditions. These are the benefits or characteristics of a specific ticket. Usually, we find that as seats and class. A passenger that decides to travel in business class or first class. A passenger that chooses a seat. They choose priority boarding or have a benefit to enter a lounge with their ticket, or should I say, their passenger ID. Once we have all those 3 first layers covered with their cores and then their special setups or configurations, we'll have a custom boarding pass and a way to keep track of passengers as soon as someone, somewhere, or something asks them, May I scan your ticket? And that's exactly the point where we're able to match or bind a passenger or a passenger ID to a transportation asset or a transportation operation. That way we can georeference, activate, perform actions, generate events, notifications, do whatever we need to do with that passenger and start tracking them until they end their trip. So that's why we essentially think that managing passengers is about understanding the use case context in which these passengers exist and travel. We don't believe there is a fundamental necessity to have a myriad of software to control that sort of operations. What is needed, in fact, is a software flexible enough to manage these requirements and allow the users to customize the ticket's condition to their needs and processes. So at Golden M, we develop Layers, our IoT applications platform. Universal integration, flexibility, and an obsession for user experience are our newborn solution pillars. Layers allows the users to build their tech ecosystems. The user can use our applications and features we have available. Also, we can develop custom add-on applications and interfaces that adapt entirely to the use case. The best thing is that they all work seamlessly across each other. And that's the reason we believe that a mix of software, IDs, and creativity can lead to impressive tailored solutions for passenger management and actually for anything IoT. And this is Layers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Orlando. The presentation was so inspiring that we have a question from the audience. So the actual question is, do you have the solution that is already developed by your company that aligns to the idea that you have described in your presentation?
Yes, of course. And that is actually what Layers is all about. And I think that I'll need to give a little bit of background on this. So with Layers, we have dared to defy paradigms, gone beyond and above to build a genuinely different product and technology for our connected world. Layers is our vision of IoT. I think that we have about 2 years working on this. I think that the idea up with a conversation with Alexei and Sergey and Sasha back in LA or San Francisco. I don't remember well. But Layers is, and that's what that kickstarted all of this, right? So Layers is our vision of IoT. So we describe it as a universe made of tools, applications, services, and resources that allow the creation of very particular IoT worlds or realities. And I'm often getting the question now that we have just, announced the solution, that what can you do with Layers? Well, I say you can choose an app, you can customize it, you can build another one, you can mix them, you can integrate your things, you can connect your existing systems and data sources, Wialon ready, of course. It's based on FlexP. And you can fuse and exchange data. You can create your own tech ecosystems. You can build your own IoT. In essence, Layers adapts to you, your needs, and it allows you to turn your ideas into realities. And so that I think that answers the question. We have something. We have what we believe is an excellent solution for what we do. And for what the guys in the audience, the people in the audience do, what we have done along with you guys for the last almost 6 years. So it's a continuation of our work. It's actually a consolidation of all of our experience throughout the years. And I'm sure the entire Gurtam community will be able to benefit from it. Whatever the case, their use case might be, whatever their industry verticals or objectives or aims might be, we'll be here to tailor a solution for them to help them get to that end objective with a flawless user experience.
Thank you very much, Orlando. It was a really nice presentation. Thank you very much for the participation, and we wish you to have a really good day.
You too, guys. You too. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, Orlando. So we have already enjoyed the first presentations with a lot of valuable insights. However, here at Gurtam, we also gathered our knowledge and expertise to share the most effective tools and use cases with you. And now our colleague Oleg Zharkovsky will be joining us. He is a deputy head of technical consulting and also a Wialon trainer team lead. So if anyone has an excellent knowledge of Wialon, it is definitely Oleg, for sure. With his help, we will find out what kind of standard Wialon features can be used for a public transport solution. Oleg, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for the invitation. My name is Oleg Zharkovsky. I am Wialon Trainers Team Lead. Well, there are questions that always cause controversy. For example, which is better, iOS or Android, Windows or Linux, WhatsApp or Telegram? We won't discuss these questions, don't worry. Let everyone decide for himself. But we also came across at least one similar question in Wialon. Which is better, a multifunctional platform or highly specialized niche solution? So it's hard to choose. So we decided to have both. NimBus, developed by Gurtam, is a specialized web application in the field of public transport. My colleagues will show you this application a little later. And for now, I'll tell you how the multifunctional Wialon monitoring interface can be used to work with passengers. Feel free to write your questions in the chat. I'll answer them at the end of my presentation. Let's start. And I want to start with a strange idea, yeah. Can we track the passenger directly? A unit in Wialon is most often associated with a vehicle, but in fact, a unit can be anything or anyone, just put a tracker on it. So the question is, are there trackers for people? Yeah, these are so-called personal trackers, which are compact enough and include a built-in battery. Wialon supports over 200 models of personal trackers. Yeah. Or you can do it even easier with a smartphone. Everyone has it nowadays, and you can turn it into a software tracker. Gurtam developed a special application called Viatak for such a purpose. By the way, Viatak 2.0 is already in beta testing now, and it's not just a new version with some minor improvements, but a complete rethinking of the application capabilities. Follow the link in the description and try the new version. Still, it doesn't always make sense to track each passenger separately using a tracker, since the data from it is pretty the same as the data from the vehicle's tracker. So you just get the result as you see on the screen right now. Well, it doesn't look good. Yeah? So therefore, Wialon has a passenger module, which is, it can help you assign passengers to a bus. Yeah. To do this, you need to install a readers into the vehicle and provide each passenger with a unique identifier, an RFID card, iButton, or NFC chip. They definitely cost less than tracker. Unfortunately, such approach is almost inapplicable for public transport, because it's not easy to give identifiers to all the people. But it is very suitable for cases when we clearly know the passengers that get into the vehicle. A good example is school buses or employee shuttle services. You can track the fact of their entry or exit in real time using notifications and check it later using reports. But what if passengers don't have any unique IDs? Can we determine the passenger's traffic in this case? And the answer is yes. if the tracker has a suitable additional hardware. For example, it can be a miniature photoelectric sensor with a beam reflector installed near the door, or even a built-in video analysis system in the bus passenger compartment. These are, to say honestly, there are many other types of sensors. I just mentioned two of them, but there is no difference for Wialon which hardware you choose. Wialon can work with all of them. It's only important for the tracker to send a proper value to the server. Wialon has special sensor of counter type with several subtypes: instant counter, differential counter, etc. So the data anyway appears in the report. Since I mentioned the video cameras in the passenger compartment, it is also worth mentioning they can be used for their intended purposes, capturing videos. Depending on the supported tracker features, you can watch it online or by requesting some video fragments. A similar camera can be placed in the driver's cab, pointing at the driver himself or on the road. It allows you to monitor the driver's behavior, for example, so that he doesn't fall asleep or he is not distracted by a smartphone like this guy. It also allows you to fully study the causes of accidents if they do occur. Taking into account the growing interest in video control, we added a whole new video tab to Wialon several months ago. It definitely makes your work with trackers and video cameras more convenient. I suppose this area will be actively developing in the near future, so stay tuned and follow our news. And I hope everyone agrees that the safety of the passenger comes first. So you can monitor the driver's behavior even without cameras, but using usual messages from the tracker. Eco-driving module is used for this purpose in Wialon. It allows you to set criteria that take into account speeding, acceleration, braking, harsh tone, or reckless driving. In order not to spend a lot of time creating such criteria, we suggest using standard presets for different vehicle types, including buses. So you can see the result at the rank in the eco-driving web application, or you can get almost the same result, but just in another form, for a group of units or a group of drivers to compare their ranks and choose the best one and the worst one. Further actions no longer depend on Wialon. The business owner himself has to decide how to improve the driver's behavior. Since we are discussing passenger transportation today, it is important to mention route control as well. There are several suitable tools for that in Wialon. Basic route control can be built from blocks like a construction set. You need to take geofences, that's how we call areas on the map, and combine them with the notifications, phone line control, or with the reports for post-facto control. These tools are suitable for many purposes, including public transportation. Some users may also remember rather old but still a good working routes module. The features just listed were created for the dispatcher, but we have something for passengers too. Well, passengers obviously won't have a username and password to log in Wialon. That's why they should use the locator. It allows you to create a link that can be easily opened by anyone on their smartphone. And when passengers open it, they see a map, units, and geofences. It's some kind of a minimalistic monitoring interface with no additional features. Well, if you don't like the locator, our reports, or something else, you can always implement your own algorithm for processing data and displaying it using the API. For example, in this way, information can be displayed on digital bus stop schedules. But I have to admit that route management, the locator, and API are also available in NimBus web application. So, talking about these features, I vote for a highly specialized niche solution, NimBus. it definitely wins comparison. Let me finish this presentation with some bonuses. Whatever unit you are monitoring, at some point it needs maintenance. To keep track of it, Gurtam created a web application called FleetRun. For all types of units, we also have a mileage and engine hours control. This is a basic feature, but still a good one. And I have to mention fuel control. Wialon has several flexible algorithms to calculate the consumption, detect fill-ins, and fuel thefts. And I think that's all. I hope this fast overview of Wialon features suitable for passenger transportation was useful for you. Feel free to choose those tools you like most of all. And if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them right now. But remember that our technical support works 24/7, so my colleagues are ready to help you too. Or you can contact the training team for a personal session to dive deeper into Wialon algorithms. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Oleg. I think your presentation was very consistent and clear. And me personally, I really like it and have, well, no questions here. Oh, wait, well, I think our viewers have one. So the question is, which sensor is better for calculating passenger traffic? What do you think, Oleg?
Okay, first of all, I think that I'm not the hardware guy, I'm the software guy. That's what I always say, and Gurtam and Wialon, we don't create any hardware. So in that case, I maybe can only share the experience of our partners. I mentioned two types of sensors for passenger traffic, but well, they were the miniature photoelectric sensor that is installed near the door. Yeah, so talking about this one, it just sends the invisible beam, and when a person enters the bus, it crosses it, so the counter increments the values, like +1. But the problem here is that when a person enters the bus, he can cross this beam several times, or he can enter and then leave. He can cross it with the luggage and so on. So the main advantage of such sensor is the simplicity and the price. Well, I can't say the exact percentage for the accuracy or inaccuracy. If we compare it to the second one, the built-in video analysis system, maybe I can say that it's more accurate, but I don't want you to think that it's the ideal one. There is no ideal sensor. All of them has an inaccuracy. So you will always have to choose between the price and their quality, their accuracy. Well, I'm not sure that this information help you to choose between these two sensors, but what I wanted to say, I definitely recommend you to discuss it with someone who knows hardware better, but talking from the side of Wialon, we can work with all of them, because we just need to get a value from a tracker and everything will work. So that's the answer.
I see. Thank you, Oleg. As I get it, it's all about the balance anyway. So thank you so much. And we are really happy to have you with us today, and see you at your training sessions.
Bye.
Bye, Oleg.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we continue, and if you remember, we had some technical problems with Benji Javier, who will present a use case based on the project implemented in the Philippines. So let's try to connect once again.
Good day, everybody. So here I am again, and I'm Benji from the Philippines. I'm the CEO of Infinite IT Solutions. We've been doing the Internet of Vehicles. So let's plug the presentation. All right. So we have the flagship program. the project. So here's the modern eco POV. So what I'm presenting to you is a live, project in the Philippines. We've been doing this since 2015, up to date, and we are currently, I think, around 40 to 50% on the modernization. We're changing all the cars into a better one to have, the public utility vehicles have better fuel savings, safety features, yada yada. So in the modern PUV requirements in the Philippines, we have the public utility bus, and the public utility modern jeepney. You say modern jeepney, these are the latest, coasters. We have class one, class two, class three version, and it depends on how long is the trip, no, from 1 to 100 kilometers. Okay, so on the public utility bus, we have GPS, the automated fare collection system. We have the Wi-Fi, the CCTV, and the dashcam. So for the public utility jeep, we have the same equipments needed, and these are mandated by the government. It's a memorandum circular. So if you will not avail this, you are not entitled to join the participate the franchising of modernization. We have the school service, the taxis, the TNVS, the tourists, and as well as the shuttle services. So if you see the X means you will not need the automated fare collection system. So for the next slide, okay, we practice the topology of Wialon. So we have the IP camera, the VIS ticketing terminal, and currently we're using the high end and the top of the again the quality products from different companies like Teltonica, Ruptela, coming from Lithuania, and also the counting sensors from China, and we also utilize the of course our partner Wialon Hosting, the solutions of his Wialon Hosting under our own brand. We have the ticketing software from BusLogic. We have remote management system, so that's why we are in the Internet of Vehicle phase. So we have this the Central Public Utility Vehicle Monitoring, the LTFRB, or the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board. We are an accredited company, and you have to be an accredited company before you can supply all of these buses. So we do integration with our local partner, Sakai PH, wherein you can use this application to monitor all the bus stops as well as the trips and the dispatching using our NimBus platform. Okay. So we have this. We partnered with the largest company, Sunmi in Shanghai. So we partnered with IoT device manufacturer, and currently we are the integrator supplier in the Philippines for all these IoT devices, and all of these are interconnected with the Internet of vehicles or the gadgets of the vehicles. So we have fleet management and dispatch system, of course, powered by Wialon Hosting. We are maximizing the power of Wialon Hosting. We have the routers from Sunmi, Teltonica. Of course, we are also using uh, uh, the top three brands of devices. We have the Teltonica, Tela, and other European brands. And what we did is we implemented the Wialon solutions plus bus logic solutions and the internet connectivity together with IoT products, IoT devices, the Sunny Cloud OS, okay, proprietary OS to transact and do the business operational flow. for the modernization. So as you can see, there is a commuter once he onboarded with the public utility vehicle or bus. He has to purchase cards, use our device. So these devices are connected through wires, through wireless routers, and our routers are also connected with validators. We have inspector devices. We have GPS system here, the fleet management, and of course, with the power of the Wialon hosting, we are able to maximize what we can do with the bus management system. So from the time that the commuter onboards the bus to the time that they generate the report and the transport operator will generate the sales income real time. Okay, every day they can generate at the back end all the sales reports and trips and all the fleet management, including the eco driving support and using NimBus as a dispatch system, we are able to give all the passenger the right time where they can onboard the buses. So this is how we did it, and it's very simple with our expertise, experience for the past 7 years. I believe that we can deliver to any country. Philippines is now on modernization, and still we're going into the buses, to the trains, to the taxis, up to the ferries, and to the air transportation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Benji, for a nice presentation that you delivered. And we have a question from the audience. Is it difficult to make an integration with third-party software, and how much time it usually takes?
Okay, based on our experience, yes, there is difficulty. Number one, if you are able to use, low-end gadgets with no support from the manufacturer, yes, it is very hard. Now, how long for for uh, for a company like Sunny or Teltonica, Ruptela? Very fast, maybe around a month is the maximum. With our, of course, we as a software development engineering company, we are very fast in integration, which is I think that's our edge among any other vendors or providers. I believe that the technology should be sustainable, and of course, the support of the manufacturer is very important for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Benji. We wish you to have a really nice late evening. Goodbye.
Yeah. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we continue our conference, and the next speaker has a huge experience in monitoring, huge experience in telematics. He has a number of projects implemented in various spheres of telematics, from railway management to waste management. The company has also entered top 50 2020 global rating, and only those companies who connected the largest amount of units get into this rating. And there is no surprise that today we will see another wonderful implemented project. I'm glad to present you Mr. Saif Esmail Mohammed, Business Development Manager at Integrated Solutions, who will present a use case related to taxi passenger transportation.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Well, first of all, let me thank you for holding this event. It's a very valuable event that we all get used to. I shall start with directly with my presentation, which talks about a transportation project we did with the exclusive taxi operator of the Baghdad International Airport. I will go through the challenges and what solutions we implemented and what have we achieved of this project. Now, to give you an idea about our company, it was established its name is Integrated Solution, established in 2012. Soon we had another 3 branches. We cover currently more than 1,000 customers. We have more than 60 staffs. We work on different sectors, but the major ones are oil, gas, transportation, FMCG distribution. We are specialized mainly in fleet management solutions. However, we do security solutions on a smaller scale, and we do custom development for web, desktop, and mobile applications. We do have 13 international local business partners. To give you some information about the project we did, the operator name was called Taxi Baghdad. This operator is the only operator who can who can transport passengers to and from the airport. You know the situation in Iraq from 2003 onwards. The security situation was highly unstable. So there were very high security measures taken in the airport zone where only authorized vehicles are allowed to enter in the airport. So for that, the government had to, appoint, a taxi operator who can drop and pick up passengers from their home to the airport. And this operator has to meet all the security measures enforced by the government and G4S, which is the security company controlling the situation in the airport. The project is around 500 taxi vehicles. They have more than 1,000 drivers, and they do currently more than 4,500 trips per day. The project is located in Iraq, Baghdad, and it started on October 2017 and continued for 2 months. Well, as I mentioned, private vehicles are not allowed to enter in the airports. There were, a special taxi operator was appointed for this requirement. The place is very highly secured, so any vehicle entering the airport zone will have to go through 5 different checkpoints. And when we say checkpoints, they inspect everything inside the car. They inspect the passengers, the luggages. They go through sonar devices. They go through manual checks, plus the dog checks. They have even trained dogs smelling everything around. So these are the environment surrounding that project. The dependency is very high because Baghdad International Airport serves around 80% of the total flights in the country. The operations will have to be 24/7, no stop time. The secured zone around the airport is located around 15 kilometers away from the airport. This way they can ensure that they have enough security measures so that no one can enter that zone and make any problems. So you always have a gate in the entrance of that zone, and then the passengers reach that gate, and then they pick up a taxi and go inside the airport. One of the challenges we had is the experience. The operator had no previous experience with the taxi operations. At the same time, there were no similar operations in the country. So it was very challenging to know that we are going to work on a project. Operationally, we don't know the whereabouts. Now, what were the challenges before the project started? The operational challenges were that the operator had all the vehicles ready and waiting all the time, which was costing a huge fortune. He kept his 500 vehicles in the parking area. He pays a huge amount for that, and depending on the load, on the demand, he operates the vehicles. There were no HR procedures and policies in place. The customers were hardly dissatisfied. Why? Because many of the customers have missed their flights due to lack of control in that process. Either that the taxi reaches late, or he never reaches, or he reaches too early. Most of the customers were unhappy with the services provided. At the same time, many of the employees are dissatisfied. Why? Because when we saw the project first, we saw two groups of employees. One is those who work really hard but not rewarded for their hard work, and the other group who were taking the advantage of the chaos happening there and making money for their own interest. And finally, they had recorded at that time around 2 to 3 daily incidents. Those incidents varying from major ones like a car crash, or small ones like speed over limits. Some of the technical issues we had, and one of the major ones, is the mismatches between the accounting system numbers and the manual book numbers. So they had a manual book in which they record every trip going and coming, and they have an accounting system where they enter those manual books. When we checked, there were huge differences, and people were making benefits out of these differences. Many trips were not recorded in the system, and the drivers took advantage of this. Another challenge they had is the attendance machine reachability. What happens there? They have 1,000+ employees. They reach at the same time. They have provided around 10 attendance machines, but still they have to stand in queue. Some of them, they have to wait for more than half an hour to punch their fingers. They had a high communication cost, around 3,500 per month. They had to call every driver. Where are you? Why are you late? The customer is waiting for you. All kind of calls. So we had collected their bills, and it summed up to 3.5K per month. Now, in spite of the high demand, because as I said, this is the only airport in the capital, and it covers 80% of the country flights. Despite of the high demand, they were recording hardly 5 trips per vehicles per day. So this number looks very odd and very less compared to the number of passengers there, given the fact that every passenger enters the airport or comes out of the airport has to go through this operator, Taxi Baghdad. They also had a high maintenance cost. Overall, for the 1,000 vehicle, they have an average like 110K per month. And they have a huge fuel consumption compared to the traveled distance. So these were the key challenges faced by the operator and by us when we saw the project. So what solutions we implemented? Now, why we selected this project to present? Because this is one of the projects where we implemented all our knowledge. We implemented Wialon as a system. We implemented the GPS tracking. We implemented most kind of sensors. We have done integrations. We have even took a step and run some of the operations ourselves. We have done consultation business. So it's a large scale project where we covered everything. So what we did there, we did the process re-engineering. We implemented Wialon. We installed various type of sensors. We still doing actually the operations monitoring, and we implemented certain kind of quality control. The first thing we did is we divided the drivers into 3 shifts to cover 24 hours a day. That's 8 hours per shift. And we implemented a penalty and a reward system for the driver, taking the help of RAG report, which we developed based on Gurtam, based on Wialon data. We were involved in the driver recruitment process, doing the extensive background check, driving tests. These are things are not technical, but we were supposed to involve to make the project succeed. We also implemented quality assurance procedures there. What kind of control measures we did there? We had out-of-shift notification. So if someone is operating outside his period, then we get alarm. We had overspeeding control, which was a major issue there. We binded the drivers to the vehicle through the I button and immobilizer. So we had increased accountability. Not every driver can drive every vehicle. We canceled their attendance system. The attendance for the drivers is taken from Wialon directly. Of course, there were route optimization monitoring. I mean, the driver takes the right way so that he spends the less time and he reaches this place as fast as possible. We have monitoring unplanned parking. So the driver is not allowed to stop everywhere or anywhere. He stops only at the passenger place and on the allowed places in the green zone of the airport. We read the engine temperature. We had built a notification system for the regular maintenance. We installed fuel sensors for the large vehicles, and we read the fuel meters from the LV can for the small ones. Overall, this gives us the optimum vehicle usage control. We had built seatbelt sensors, and these were built customized. We made them manually. The AC and heating sensors also were made manually and installed. So there are essential things here, and there are good to have ones. But eventually, all these points had led to the success of the project. As far as the accounting system and the attendance system, we had done a huge integration between Wialon SDK, Wialon reports, and their accounting system. We translated every trip of the drivers into a transaction. Then it comes automatically to the accounting system, and then it's compared with the transaction entered in the system. So there is no way that you can find a trip without an accounting entry. As I mentioned, also the attendance of the drivers were cancelled, and we took the data from Wialon directly. We pushed that into the payroll system. So we saved huge efforts and time on that area. And finally, what did we achieve out of this project? Now, we achieved many things, but these are the top 5 points. We have improved the safety compliance, reduced the number of incidents from 2 to 3 on daily basis to 5 incidents on monthly basis, and all are monitored correctly. So that was a great benefit to both the passengers and to the operator. We have doubled the business. Actually, what happened, if you remember, I mentioned they had very low number of trips, around 5 trips per day. When we implemented the system and slowly started to monitor the trips and started, asking the drivers, you went several times, but your trips are not recorded. So they started working in a proper way. The number has increased from 5 to 10 on average daily. So you can imagine, the number has got doubled. We did customer survey, we did employee survey, and we got really good, promising results from these surveys. So the satisfaction level has highly increased. The communication cost has got decreased by 2.5 thousand on monthly basis, and their maintenance cost also got decreased around 35% from 100,000 USD dollars to 70,000 USD dollars per month, and that's thanks to the monitoring system for the maintenance notification system. Yeah, I'm done here. If you have any question.
Thank you very much, Saif. Impressive numbers, I should say, for the customer. And it's always a pleasure to see such advanced projects and solutions implemented by integrated solutions. We have just a few questions from the audience. What is the difference between this project and any other taxi projects? And also, how did this project contribute to the society's benefit?
Well, coming to the first question, what's the difference? The difference is that the passenger doesn't have choices. The passenger has Taxi Baghdad to reach to the airport and to exit from the airport. Unlike any other airport in any other country, you can go in your own car. You can select any other operator. So the passengers have to come through this operator, and this is a big difference. And here also the timing is very crucial because of the security, the multiple security checks at the entrance of airport green zone. Passengers will have to go through so many checkpoints, their luggages, the vehicles itself. So the time is a very crucial factor. In any other country, you can enter the airport directly without any inspection. Unlike here, it takes around 1.5 hours to inspect the passengers and the driver and the vehicle and the luggage multiple times. And coming to the second question, how did this contribute to the society benefit? Well, the operator, Taxi Baghdad, was obliged by the government to have certain level of margin, and that should not be increased. So he is working on cost plus module. Now, when the financial numbers came after a period of time, we saw the overall cost got reduced. He had to reduce the transportation fees equally so that he stays to the margin limit of that was specified by the government. Besides, the passengers were able to catch up with their flight, of course, on time and safely, unlike earlier. And drivers' work are well organized, hence more break time and more days off for them. Earlier they had to stay and wait for the job to come. Now they know who has to work when and for how many hours. So the overall work was majorly improved. Thank you.
Thank you, Saif. Impressive use case indeed. We wish you to have a really good evening. Goodbye.
Bye,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, our next speaker is a true expert in passenger transportation. One of the early adopters of NimBus, this partner has developed a mobile app allowing to show the schedule for passengers and lots of other software solutions that are listed in our marketplace. We are really looking forward to hear about the new one, a solution for corporate transportation, allowing company employees to book a trip using company vehicles. Please welcome Mr. Sanjeeva Kurey, Chief Executive Officer of Cloud IP.
Hello. I'm going to talk about how to revitalize staff transportation systems with Gopher. What is Gopher? Gopher is a cloud solution to replace work related to passenger transport management in companies of any size. How Gopher simplifies transport management. In a company like yours, there is a staff transport, sales staff travel to clients and suppliers. Installers collect, replace, maintain, and install equipment across the region. and managers visit big corporate clients. Transporting people who make any business happen. We all teach businesses to use fleet efficiency, and while focusing on optimizing commercial heavy fleets or front end business, we forget about the back office of any business, including our own. Answering transport management questions. How many vehicles are available? Do staff use company cars on business only? Which of your employees travel too much? How much? How do we pay drivers? Can they share transport? What about Wialon to track business rides? You can get all this information from Wialon, but it is not that easy as fleet management provides all information not filtered by events. Some companies will do it the hard way, but others will not. Gopher comes in between Wialon and customer. Gopher offers its users process data on employees' business rides and Uber-like features for car booking and rides management. Imagine Uber tailored to your passenger transport fleet. That's Gopher. Gopher extracts data from Wialon and provide all useful information on a real-time dashboard. This is the company car management dashboard, where you can see company-wise, branch-wise, departmental-wise, and passenger-wise, driver-wise, and vehicle-wise. You can get it for a year, for 30 days, for 7 days, or any period that you want. And once this real-time dashboard, you can drill down and go into the reports. Gopher dashboard answers all the questions. How is the company fleet used? How many vehicles are available now? What are the peak periods and how many are on trips? Saving money and time with Gopher. How Gopher saves your clients money. Sharing vehicles between going in one direction. Gopher shows how much each employee costs for a company and detects misusers. Pay drivers per mile and trips. Reward actual work and stop paying for idling. Gopher saves your client's time. Simple click car booking. No need for phone calls, logbooks, and emails. Where the employees are, they go at any moment. Requests, approvals, transport catalogs, billing are all on your laptop. How it works. Car booking and request management. Passengers can request trips for any day in future, and their line managers, department managers can approve, and managers can be also set on Gopher as well, predefined. And then it goes to dispatcher to look at the request and look at the share possibilities to share, and then assign it to drivers, and driver accepts and complete the trip like in a taxi system. And you can, in the back end, you can program like what is the cost per vehicle, running cost, type of vehicle, luxury vehicle, semi-luxury vehicle, billing plans. And this is what a passenger would see. They can pin drop and make requests like in a standard taxi system. And this is the driver app, where the driver accept and reject vehicle requests, navigate via Google Maps, rate passengers and track earnings, get notifications from passengers, and share driver activity statuses. Gopher will transform passenger transport business like Uber transformed taxi business. The difference between a taxi system and a Gopher is taxi systems are designed from their core to increase revenues for the taxis. On the other hand, Gopher is designed from its core to minimize transportation costs for the companies. And we have a success story from one of our key customers. This customer has over 20,000 employees, 1,000 plus vehicles, and 30 branches, which are their factories and offices. And the specifications what they wanted to meet were recurring and ad hoc trips, eliminating unauthorized trips, shared trips for employees traveling in the same direction, driver payments per trip, and no manual calculations. And once Gopher implemented, there were 20+% monthly savings, Cloud IP enjoys higher conversion rate of referrals and competitors' clients and higher rate per vehicle. Gopher becomes a unique selling proposition as competitors have nothing to match. And Gopher marks. Gopher is a cloud-based and Cloud IP offers the solution globally. We are interested in working with Gurtam partners. Investment, there is no upfront investment. Pay a monthly or annual subscription based on the number of users, vehicles, or trips. There are 3 options to choose from based on best fitting option for you. But before all that, we offer up to 60 days evaluation trial to all our customers. You get it, you try it, start saving first, and then subscribe it when it benefits you. That's my presentation about the Gopher, and you can, if you have any questions, I can answer now.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Your solution for corporate transportation looks really impressive indeed, and I wish you good luck promoting it worldwide. And let me check if there are any questions here from the audience. And we have one. Does Gopher support white labeling and customizations? Do you plan to add any new features soon?
Yes, we do support full white labeling, and the solution is we have a full-time development team for this product. So we are developing continuously. So we will be planning many new features coming up, something like recurring rides, and like almost every month we are planning new releases. And we also take any customizations. If any of our customers want any customizations, we don't charge. We do it free, so it will match any requirement. Otherwise, our developers will match it to their requirement. So Gopher will fit any market, any requirement in this segment.
Thank you very much, Sanjeeva. We are really happy to have you here with us today, and good luck with your new projects. See you soon.
You.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, and now we will have a short break. Pour a cup of tea or coffee, but don't take too long. We will be back in just 10 minutes. Please stay with us, and as we still have many valuable presentations ahead, and as well as a panel discussion revealing the latest trends in video telematics, something that is definitely worth staying. See you after the break.
telematics professionals. Our break is over. For those of you who has just joined this event, we continue our online conference, Passenger Transport, Driving the Industry with the Telematics Tools. Here we discuss and see how telematics brings the passenger industry forward. And I would also thank all of you for getting back to us, because as promised, we still have many presentations and a panel discussion with useful content, trends and visions ahead. Victoria.
What, Tim?
I always wanted to tell you that you are a great host.
Oh, that's so nice of you to say so. Thank you.
I really hope that you enjoyed Victoria's company, but apart from being a great host, I'm sure that you know she's also the product manager of NimBus. So now we have a slight change in the agenda, and Victoria will tell you more about this advanced solution for public transportation.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, now I will tell you more about this specialized solution that Gurtam has developed specifically for the passenger transportation companies. Of course, I am talking about NimBus. It has already been mentioned in a number of projects today, and now we will take a closer look at its functionality and interface. A small disclaimer. Today our time is limited, so I will not guide you through the basic setup step by step. Instead, I will concentrate on understanding how systems elements work together and which setup to choose depending on your use case. After that, we'll explore the interface, highlighting the result you can get after the setup. So now let's start. NimBus comprises the core functionality of satellite tracking system and specialized tools designed for passenger transportation management. With the help of NimBus, you can automate fleet management processes and monitor performance of rides, both in real time and upon completion. In a nutshell, the application allows you to do the following things: create or import basic elements needed to control passenger transportation, such as stops, routes, and schedules. Assign vehicles to rides or set up automatic assignment of vehicles. To control performance of the rides online, on the scheme and on the map. Get online notifications about the important events on the ride, like hurry, delay, connection loss, and others. Execute different type of reports to get access to the ride's history and assess their quality. Also, you can use our open API to create unique solutions tailored to the client's needs. And you can keep your passengers informed with the locator tool, which Oleg has already mentioned a bit earlier. First of all, I'd like to tell you a bit more about the basic definitions used in the application. So, basic elements of the systems are the following: units, stops, routes, schedules, and rides. To master the use cases, it is important to understand the flow of elements creation. So first you create stops, then based on them you create routes. For each routes, you create schedules that are basically templates or a plan for every day. Afterwards, you need to assign units to rides so that the system can register all the needed information for a ride according to the unit that performed it. So the ride basically connects a unit with the schedule. So keep in mind this difference. A schedule is a template and a ride is a one-time copy from this template. Also, a unit must be assigned. If there are no units assigned, there's nothing to keep track of. So now let's have a look at different tasks and how you can solve them with NimBus. Here I decided to unite the main use cases into a diagram, so let's take a look at it step by step. The first step is to figure out whether you deal with fixed schedules or not. Actually, there can be different schedules, say for working days or weekends. NimBus can easily deal with it, but your client or carrier must have some table that is more or less constant. Let's presume that there is one and continue with the left part of this diagram. We will get back to the no schedules situation a bit later. Then you pay attention to the way vehicles and schedules are connected. If the same vehicles usually perform rides for the same schedules, then you're good to go with schedules by time, and you can assign units to the schedules directly. In this case, all the rides will be created with the same unit assigned, and the only thing left for you is to monitor the units and control their performance. I will show you all the use cases a bit later, so don't be scared now. If the vehicles usually switch from one schedule to another, then you should pay attention to one more thing. Is there a plan for change of vehicles? Very often dispatchers have this plan for a day, week, or even a month. In this case, it is impossible to assign the same units for schedules because units change all the time. So it's best to assign units on the rights page, where you can choose the date and assign different units to the same schedules depending on the day. And if there is no way to know in advance where this or that vehicle goes, in this case you still can use schedules by time and choose to assign units to rides automatically. You'll need to associate some units with the route, and the system will assign one of them to the closest active ride as soon as the unit visits the stop. And now, when it all got so very complicated, let's go back to the right part of our diagram and look at the case with no schedules at all. Actually, here we can use the same mechanism as in the previous one to assign units automatically. Only for this scenario, we went even further, and now it's possible to monitor rides without a fixed starting time. This is a curious concept, long awaited by our partners, so I really hope some of you will be happy to find out a bit about this brand new feature. So now you can create just one schedule that we call relative, select some units for your route and, well, watch them working. Once any of the units associated with the route visits the first stop, a ride is created and activated. The only thing you should keep in mind is that sometimes routes start from the same stop. So in this case, you better be careful and associate different units with these routes. Otherwise, the system just can't figure out which way the unit is going. So you probably noticed that two of the options are also marked by online to zero label. To assign units to rides automatically became possible only in our new operational mode called online to zero. We won't stop on it in details now, but you can find some more information in our blog and other sources. And now I'm starting to share my screen, and we will see how it all looks in the reality. So here our starting point is the dashboard, and we will go to it a bit later. Now please pay attention at the top of the screen. Here we see the names of these basic elements I mentioned, right? So they lead basically to the corresponding pages. As I promised, we won't go through the setup step by step, and we just go to the routes page. Here I already created some routes to demonstrate you the use cases. So let's start with this 47. Inside the route you can see three tabs: stops, schedules, and units. We are interested in schedules now. And here you can see already created schedule, this big table, right? So I got prepared. For the first use case, when the same units go for the same schedule every day, the best way to assign them is over here. you just assign a unit to a schedule and click apply. This work a bit time consuming in the first time, but later on, if nothing changes or changes very rarely, you just don't need to make any adjustments at all. So this is the first way to deal with schedules. Let's move on to the route number 57. Here we will use another approach. Here we also have some schedules. You can see them, but here we leave this input blank without any assigned units. You see all the schedules are empty. Please keep this thought in mind, because later on the rights page I will show you how we will assign units here. So 57 is our second case where there is a plan, but units change from time to time. Our next case I will demonstrate on this purple route 1125. Here we also got some created schedules, right? It doesn't matter here whether we are gonna leave it blank or assign some units here. It doesn't matter, because for this route I decided to assign units automatically. So you need this flag to be active over here. And as I told you before, once one of these units enters the first stop, it will be assigned to the first active write. So here's our third case, and the last case is very special. There are relative schedules here. So I decided to leave it blank to show you how it works for a created route. So here we have no schedules for now, and you can see two options: by time and relative schedules. So we have already examined by time option. That were my pre-created schedules in other routes, and now we will create a relative schedule. Here it is. You can change the numbers if needed, but the system make this on itself anyhow. And also you can choose operation period in case your vehicles go for a ride, for example, from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. Here on default it's for the whole day. Also, for this feature to work, it is obligatory to use automatic assignment of units. So here you have to have something, right, to be picked. Otherwise it just won't work. So here we save this route. And now let's move to the rights page, where I will show you how it works for different kind of routes. So what can we see here? For the routes with vehicles that were assigned to schedules, we see that the whole plan is pre-created by itself, so no actions needed. All the schedules are already connected with the units. Here are two of these routes, right? This is the most ideal case. Our second case was with schedule by time and manual assignment. So for this case, you need to go to the route and make the assignment here, right? For example, like this. Now, once the time comes, these rights are activated. So this case works well if there is plan, say for a week, because you can see we also have a calendar, and you can assign units not only for today, but say for the day after tomorrow. Here you go. You just assign units here and save your changes. Everything works smoothly. Let's go back to our today's schedule and review the third case. Here we can see that there also are rides that are going to happen, and also there are no units assigned here, but in comparison with the previous case, you don't need to make any manual assignments here, because once a unit visits the first stops, its name just will appear over here. The active rides are displayed in a blue frame, so it will be assigned to the first blue frame here. And as for the last case, relative schedules, as you can see, this is what's going to happen if your units don't go to the destination. You can see that no rides to display, and rides for this route will be created within the operation period of the schedule. But here the interesting thing that here there can be only active rides. Like there's no plan because we have no schedules, right? Okay, and now let's see what else can be interesting and useful for a dispatcher here. So we've got online tab. This is one of the main instruments, and as you can see, there are all of our routes with active rides. Also, you can see the vehicles that are displayed with these icons. If there is any hurry or delay, it is also displayed, and you can adjust the setting as you wish in user settings. Also, the detailed information is in the tooltip. Here we can see the time of visiting of the last stop, previous stop, and estimated time of arrival for the closest stop, right? And the schedule and how long ago we got data from this object, like for this unit, data relevance, we call it here. So also you can go inside the route to see it, to see the map, literally, if you need to see where exactly the unit is, because the linear scheme is not always so convenient, right? Sometimes you just need to see the map. So the same tooltips work here. Also, you can turn on unit names if needed. Let's go back. What else? Also, we have here filters, right? You can see only routes with units that go ahead of schedule, for example. And also you can filter them by type, say only buses. Here they are. So it all really helps a dispatcher when there are a lot of routes and it is really difficult to watch closely all of them. Another useful thing is dashboard. Let's go back to it. So here you can see the summarized information on all the parts, right? Summary about rides, summary about online rides, active rides, also stops and routes. Also, it is pretty handy because you can monitor this tab, and once there is a problem, say someone is ahead of schedule, you just can click on this block and go directly to the same page with the filter applied. So it is pretty useful for dispatchers. Also, there are online notifications. They just pop up from time to time here, but also you can always go back to them clicking this bell. There is a filter on types of events. It can be ride activation without unit, stop skipped, hurry delay, unit left the route path, no show at first point, and connection loss. So also, these are the old ones. Okay. Also, for some events, you can go to the map, but unfortunately we don't have them here at the moment, maybe later. Okay, what else can be useful here? Of course, NimBus not only helps you to monitor units online, but have some analytic tools, such as reports. There are different types of reports. I will not go into details right now. They can be either by unit or by route. It just will take too long. So here we will review one of the examples. It's we can see here that we can also choose the interval, for example, for 4 days, like I did. Also, all the reports are, you can export them in XLSX format. And here the information we have. Summarized info on all the rights, planned, fulfilled, not fulfilled. You can also manage these numbers in the settings, of course. Violations like behind schedule and ahead of schedule. And also, if we see, if we take a look at this chart, we can also expand it here and get all the detailed information, like what was the time on schedule and what was the actual time, right? And also all the deviations. It's pretty useful and, well, user-friendly, say. Also here we've got mileage, which is often important for our partners and their customers for driver payments. And one more interesting thing that I will show you is to see the ride on the map. Here you can make the whole analysis, see all the messages of the unit, and actually see this result in all the details here. Well, I think that it's time to wrap it up, because there are many interesting features in NimBus, but I will not cover them all today, unfortunately. But more information on step-by-step setup and the new operation mode online to 0, you can find in the meetup that Oleg Zharkovsky and I hosted in December 2020. It is called New Opportunities of NimBus, a major app update. I recommend you to check it out for the detailed explanations, because Oleg really is amazing at his job. Also, let me remind you that all the latest updates and descriptions of the new features are available on our forum, and there you can leave your requests and support each other with comments and likes. This way we know which features you need most. So you can also always contact me personally by writing to suvi@gurtam.com. Well, what can I say? Let's make NimBus even better together. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Victoria. Nice presentation indeed. But I think there's a question from the audience. So, is there a way to import already existing data to NimBus?
Yes, of course there is. Actually, it depends on the data, like on the elements. First of all, you can always import stops from the KML file, right? Because this opportunity was there at the very beginning, and if you, for example, have geofences of stops in Wialon, then this method is very suitable for you. But there is another one that uses a very interesting approach. I'm talking about specialized files, GTFS, General Transit Feed Specifications. This format was created with participation of Google, so it is very common and widespread. And usually some of our partners have already used this opportunity, and it works perfectly. Also, we have not only import from GTFS but also export from to GTFS format, so our users can get some kind of backup of their data, because there are usually a lot of stops and routes, and it takes a lot of time to create all of this data, and we don't want our users to accidentally lose it. So this GTFS thing, it can be used in many ways. So sure, you can use GTFS files to make the setup process easier for you, definitely.
That is just great. Thank you very much, Victoria. And we continue our online conference. It is high time to announce the new speaker. as we continue our journey. So now the solution for taxi management already implemented in Colombia will be presented by Maria Clara Palacios, a shareholder and managing member at Sumitec.
Hello everyone. Thank you for holding this event, and thank you everyone for attending. We developed another app similar to the ones you've seen today. This one, I'm going to show you how it works for passengers, for drivers. But before that, I'm going to tell you a bit about our story of the company. So first of all, I'm opening the presentation. Can you see the presentation? Hello, can you see the presentation?
Oh, we can see it.
Okay, yes? Okay, so who we are. So Sumitec was founded in 2011 in the US. We are a subsidiary of our company, Rastreo Satelital, in Colombia, that was founded in 1996. And we also have offices in Mexico City. So with these 20 years of experience in the market of the telematics, we have a solid base of knowledge and experience that makes us a leader in the arena. So the app that we developed was to solve an issue that our client had, and it was, it's in Cali, Colombia, and they offer transportation to their employees, but they needed to optimize and rationalize its use with a fleet of 500 vehicles. So the solution that we presented was 3 modules. Is the same as Uber, but of course we here we'll see all the sides, not the passenger side, but both sides and admin side. So there's an administrative web, central dispatch office that you can access from Wialon, the user app to order vehicle services, and the driver app to receive, request, post, activate, deliver the service. So when the driver is available, he activates or she activates the app, the availability, and it will show in the list of available vehicles. The admin web is the same tracking panel that you always see in Wialon. You can track the entire operation of subscribed cars, request, and the availability of the fleet. And also then in the admin app, you can see services that we can assign manually, and you can see all the information about what is going on your fleet. In the user app, the passenger can request service, get the estimated time of arrival, the rate of the driver, cancel service, and check price, the rates of the service. The passengers can also select from types of vehicles, a van or just a small vehicle. Also, as I said, they can see the estimated time of arrival, plus the entire trip time estimate. So it's very user friendly. The passenger can see all the information easily. Also, they can see the driver profile, and they have the possibility to provide their feedback on the driver. And also for security purposes, they can send the location anytime to their family, to the company, to whoever they need it. The user can also see the service details, driver name, contact, license plate, and the price. And click here to see the trip details. And at the end of the service, they can rate the driver from 1 to 5 and put any comments and send it to the admin. The admin will receive all the information, or the dispatcher will receive all the information about the drivers. On the driver's side, as I said, the driver app receives the new requests. They can change their availability. The drivers can change it, generate a trip document, and app will connect with Google Maps to follow a specific route step by step. So it will give the driver the route that is the most convenient route. Also, the driver will be able to direct messaging from notification. This A is for service activation, so the driver activates the service when he is close to the area that the passenger or the user requested the service. And then customer info and trip requested. So this is the information for the driver. And statistics of the completed services, so they have their own list of services completed and the amount of those services that they are going to earn. And on the driver app also, here you can see the Google Maps enabled during the trip, giving directions to the driver on where to go, how to go on the route, and they can also rate the customer. So it's in both directions. The customer rates the driver and the driver rates the customer. So, and we have our own data center architecture. We have the user app, we have our own servers, the driver app, and the admin, all together and integrated in Wialon. Also, if you would like to purchase the solution, we also can sell it to you. We can give you the APK, all the information, and you can install it in your own infrastructure. So we have both. Provide a service and you will pay like a monthly fee, or you can purchase the solution, the complete solution. So what was the result? Assign vehicles efficiently and in less time, control of all the trips, improve security for passengers. They can, as I showed to you, they can send location, they can send any complaints about their drivers. Also, the company saved 1% of fuel instead of going back and forth. All the services were totally controlled and organized, and they have complete records of trips, drivers, vehicle assigned to each trip. So that was the main result. What reports can be obtained? By trips, by drivers, by cost center, inside a company, of course. This is for a company, or if it's a different setup, of course, those cost centers can be customized, how much to pay to each driver, and by passenger. Those are the reports. So that's all for now.
Thank you very much for the nice presentation. I think we have at least one question from the audience. Will this solution be employed in your own cloud data center, or can it be deployed locally?
It can be deployed locally, both. Yeah, we have both our data center and it can be locally deployed too.
Thank you very much. It's really nice to hear that such solutions can compete with Uber-like apps. We wish you to have a really good day. Goodbye.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, our conference continues, and it's high time to present you our new speaker. It's a proven expert in student and school bus transportation, Mr. Rajiv Bajaj, Managing Director of Alba Smart, is going to tell us what kind of solution can be used to ensure the safety of children and provide protection during the pandemic.
Good evening, Tim. How are you? And how are you, Victoria? So it's late in the evening, late night here. I will start with my presentation. So let's talk about a little bit about Bus OK. This solution was introduced about 2 years ago, and we launched it at one of the Gurtam's annual meetings. And it has been doing very well here in India. So just a very quick background. It can do route planning specifically for schools, rider management, pick-up and drop-off schedules for students, real-time monitoring, vehicle location. You can do route performance monitoring and completion. And of course, driver and the rider performance can also manage, and vehicle maintenance and expense recording. So there are three main components of the solution. One is the web module, which is for schools, which helps them to build routes as per the children pick up and drop off stops, timings, scheduling, what time the bus should reach there, because they don't want to be waiting at the bus stop. So this is a simple tool. We have demonstrated this and successfully implemented in more than 50 schools here in India, and it's been doing very well. There is a ride assistant app, which can be either used by the driver or it can be used by the ride assistant or nanny, which sends real-time information to parents when the child is getting picked up at the bus stop. Optionally, children carry a RFID card, which is scanned on the reader on the bus, and it sends a notification on the parent app. This is the parent app. This gives them a bus arrival notification, estimated arrival time at the stop, estimated arrival time at the school, all the update messages, notifies on the leaves, and of course the ridership history. So this solution has been doing very well, and we were certainly hit by COVID all across the world. Globally, this was a big challenge early in 2020. So schools got shut, and then we started engaging with school management and administration that how can we come back, how can we start the school's operations once the COVID subsides, it goes down. So we realized that there are certain new normal rules which need to be followed, and we were looking at the ways that how and what needs to be done. Everybody should be wearing face masks, need to have proper disinfection, thermal scanning of the riders and even the bus driver and the ride assistant, social distancing to be maintained, and of course medical assistance to be provided. And so we looked at it as an opportunity and improvised our solution. So to start with, we built a new feature where all the ride assistant and the drivers, they need to record their duty, and they need to provide a declaration that they don't have any fever, they are not having any cough, and they are wearing the mask. They need to click the picture, and only then they can log the duty, and that recorded, and the picture goes as a record that at what location they started the duty, and they were they are following with all the compliances. Then we created custom checklists before the trip start checklist, whether the bus is fully disinfected or not. Once the trip is completed, the checklist need to be followed to ensure that there is no infection left if anybody was infected. And then social distancing. For example, a bus has a seating capacity of 30, and as the riders are boarding, and if by law you can only carry 50% of children in the school, the moment you have a 16th or 17th child boarding, it will create an alert in the report, and you know the driver is not compliant. At the same time, it does not allows you to create a route for more than the capacity whatever has been defined by government or by the authorities. So with these solutions, with these improvisations, we are ready. We started implementing in some of the schools, but then again, a second wave hit and the schools are shut again. And again, the second wave is subsiding. We are hearing in a couple of months that maybe in a month or so, the schools will restart. Again, as for the driver and the ride assistant, there is a pre-boarding health check for children as well. What is that fever that needs to be recorded? Notification goes to the parent that the fever was recorded, whether they are wearing mask or not, if they have any cough or anything. And this is kind of become a new normal, and going to become a new normal for all public transportation applications. That's very quick on the new features which we added on Bus OK. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. Just before I go to the questions, we have added on the same platform, we have added a couple of more apps, security and service management to manage field operations, which also has COVID protection features. The drivers, the security guards, when they need to report, where they need to report, if the area is a containment zone or if it has a high risk of COVID. And then we also have a service management app for the technicians. So paperless reports, when they install the systems, they click pictures and they fill up the report on the mobile app. No need to carry any paper, and real-time information report goes to the management as well as the customer. That's all from my side, Tim and Victoria. I'll be happy to answer if there are any questions.
App is evolving and new features are being added, and we have a question from the audience. Do you plan to add any new anti-COVID features anytime soon?
Yes. So, Tim, as we learn learn about the new problems, because what we see, the way the virus is mutating, there'll be new rules, new normal rules will apply, and we will have to adopt and make changes to our way of living, the way of traveling, and way of using public transportation. So we will have to do that, and we are actively considering all that. What we have realized, all the problems of the world cannot be solved only with IoT. It has to be a right mix of people, processes, IoT, and the overall technology. And people have to learn and people have to evolve. And that's what we are realizing. We were evaluating to implement some solution in Canada, and we realized they have a checklist of about more than 40 items to be done. A trick can be started, which is a great learning. And that was an idea and thought which came to our mind, that why can't we apply that on COVID? So we're learning new techniques and new processes as we are maturing.
Okay, Rajiv, thank you very much. It's nice to see that children are safe, and we wish you to have a really nice late evening. Goodbye.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, you have already heard my presentation about NimBus. Well, theory is great, but let's have a look at another NimBus-based project that has been implemented in Colombia. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to present our next speaker, the winner of the IoT Project of the Year 2020, an expert in passenger transportation, Mr. Antonio Matiz, Chief Commercial Officer at Segitel.
Very good for your invitations. We are very glad to be here in this meeting talking about this transport media and solutions for transport media. Well, we are going to start that Segitel is a company that have implemented NimBus and Colombia Public Transport in Apartado, Antioquia, which is a city in the north part of Colombia, right? We detect certain problems, which mainly was the uncontrolled system in the public transport. Other was the disorder in the dispatches fleets. The use of physical manual route templates, right? The income problems, the corruption, the several delays. Some drivers used to delay in order to get more passengers. The use of manual counting system to determine compliance. And also, we can say that they have more than 6 employees in the control of the route of the buses, right? The information is not accurate, and it means very weak service to the citizens. Then after we used NimBus, right? It was a solution, a very good solution. Yeah, at the beginning, as you see in the slide, before the companies used to write down manually all the things that has to be with delays, the fleets, and all the things, right? But using NimBus, now everything is getting more organized and also measurable for the owners of the different companies in transport here in Apartado. Of course, Wialon and NimBus solution for fleet dispatch was installed, and additionally, we created a web service to see the consolidated notifications of a delay and overtaking of all the routes. As you see, it means it gets more organized and visible to the manager of the company. And also we have installed GPS devices that send messages every 5 seconds or 30 minutes on, right? The web service. Well, we operate with a web service that uses NimBus and Wialon API, which captures the notification of a delay or overtaking at a non-stop validating the message in Wialon, and then publishing it on the screen, right? At the end of the day, or any time that you want, you can consult the summary of the day, and also you can check the previous day, not just immediately, but it has a record of what happened previously in days. The results, as you can see in the slide, there's a picture where the manager of dispatching system in a company, in a road company, can see also the route as well as the route as all the things that I told you previously before, and the results are quite clear. It brings an efficient dispatch of system to citizens. There are clear reports and accounts for the transport company. There are a reduction of payroll expenses. We pass from 6 to 2 people, right? The company has the full control of the fleet, right? There's a higher income for the owners of the companies and decreases the corruption in 90%. And also, this, well, as a result, place better decision making for managers. And finally, pues we can say that there are more than 32,000 USD annual in additional revenue to the transport company. We can say also that as well as the transport gets more organized, the citizens are happier with the service because the buses came on time on the bus stops, and also they consider there are more organization through these companies. Well, that's our presentation. That's how the problem was resolved with this beautiful tools that we have.
Thank you very much, Antonio. And I actually remember your project very well from last year because I was the jury of this competition, and I really liked it a lot. I actually told my team about your project, and they really enjoyed this use case. So thank you again for sharing it, and we are really happy that NimBus has helped to make life better in Colombia. So let me check for the questions from the audience, and we have one, a good one actually. Do you think that NimBus app can be adopted to any urban transport fleet in any country? What do you think?
Yes, we think that there is a very, very good tool. I mean, if we talk about the transport media and the systems, NimBus has been a very detailed and useful tool for working on this organization. As well as I told you before, in Colombia there are certain problems with the transport media, and it was, I think, the best solution that we had here, the use of NimBus. We suggest for the other people that they must use NimBus as a tool because they give a very good results for solutions.
That is so nice to hear such words from you. Thanks again for your presentation and for joining us today, and we wish you good luck with your other projects. Thank you for being with us. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Goodbye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen some use cases with custom-built software solutions, but as we all know, each solution requires a hardware to be operational. So our next speaker, Mayra Johanna Heredia Guzman, a shareholder and managing member at Preciso GPS, will show a presentation that reveals a hardware solution for passenger counting.
Everyone, and thank you for being here. So in representation of the Preciso GPS company, we're very proud to present you our project hardware development for the IoT environment or for the Internet of Things. Our company is rooted in Quito, Ecuador. So to let you know a little bit more about it, let's say that Preciso GPS has specialized in developing and integrating hardware for over 20 years. And with the arrival and expansion of the Internet of Things, we have seen the need to create hardware products which can communicate with the Wialon platform through the RS-232 GPS port. So, this technology for the public and passenger transport service. And I think it is very important because the world's population is increasingly concentrating in cities. And today we have 53% of the population living in urban areas, and it is expected to rise up 67% by 2050. So this increase in the concentration of people in the cities leads to an increase in the demand for public transport. So we need to make it easier to create this supply. And by using systems for counting people and analyzing passenger behavior, It will encourage the higher use of the public transport, as well as maintaining or increasing the public service quality. So, passenger demand is a key factor for planning an efficient public transport network, but it is usually unknown. So the lack of this information causes the public transport service to be inaccurate with the real needs of the passenger, resulting in crowds and long waiting times, something that is a real disadvantage in the current situation and in the future. So in our context here, information of passenger demand has been gathered manually or in a dispersed way depending on the solution implemented. And this only provides data from a specific moment and period of time. For instance, here in Quito, Ecuador, there is a complex situation. Since in 2018, the city became the most populated city in the country, and it increased the transport demand in a very short time. So, in response to this, we have developed a counter of passengers at a low cost, with long durability and easy installation. And working with Arduino, we have developed a counter bar, which includes two analog infrared sensors that measure the entrance distance of the transport unit. And at a signal cutoff, it scores the direction of entry or exit of the passenger. And it also counts the number of passengers getting on and off the unit. So with the Gurtam software, we were helped to create a data parameter for our bars to transmit the information through the RS232 port of the QuickLink GPS. This data parameter contains information such as the number of passengers getting on and off the unit, bar blocking, and the opening of doors. So now let's see how can we look this in a very practical way. And here, this is example belonging to a single unit. And in the first chart on the left, we can observe how these events are registered. So we can see what door was activated for the passenger pickup, as well as the date, time, and location of the event. So on the right part, we can observe a chart that shows us how much this unit collected in a period of time. It could be in a day or the period of time we want to know. So below, we also have a chart where we can track what were the driver's infractions. So in this sense, we can also assure that the driver is having a good behavior, that he's giving a good quality service. And under this table, we have a detailed report of the bus's activity in a single day, and from each of the routes the bus committed. And finally, we have a passenger report count. Let's continue. So these pictures belong to a report after the implementation of the system in some units. As we can observe, this bar only takes a very compact space inside the unit, and it is located at one side and another of the bus's entrance. And well, actually they have shown to be very resistant, and the installation is pretty easy. And here we can see two charts. The first chart corresponds to a feature, which is the blocking alerts. The blocking alerts occur when there's an object blocking the bar sensor. So while we detect these problems, we can avoid that a passenger count evasion, for instance. And below, there is again a summarized report of the bus's activity in one day. And we can observe with this one, we can assure that there is a maximum quality for the user, because we can track if the bus performed all the route, all the journey completely from beginning to end. So the passenger has reached his destination. Okay, and in these pictures, as I said, we can also detect the passengers drop-off, and in this chart we can also observe what door was used, date, time, and location where it happened. And on the right, we observe that there is the passenger counter, and we can see from the first row that 127 passengers got on the bus. However, we can break down all this information for each passenger and see what time, date, and door and location passenger number 1 got in the bus. And again, we can also observe how many contraventions were committed by the driver. And in this way, we can assure that the quality keeps very good for the passenger. It is very important, and this matter has been increasing the importance every day. Okay, here are another pictures coming from a report after the implementation, and these are the units we're working with today. And we can see they are using our logo on the backside of their buses, and we expect this to mean a sign that this unit provides a safe and good quality service. Okay, so now let's summarize some of the most visible advantages of them. So let's start. And we observe that there will be an increased efficiency in the service because we have a passenger load count and this corresponding report, which is uploaded in the application, and you can have access to it through your cell phone, tablet, desktop computer, or monitoring center. So with this information, you can calculate the frequency and rotation of the units and plan them more efficiently. And we can also have a better planning of the routes. And it adapts to the current situation because the assignment of entry and exit doors allows us to control the crowding of people and allows to have inside the unit the corresponding social distancing. And our system also will allow you to know the number of active passengers on the bus at any time of the day and during the operation. And in this way, we guarantee an effective use of the bus's capacity. Next, we have a resource optimization. As we said before, the implementation has a low cost if we compare it to the benefits that you can obtain. So that's why today we have 350 units of public transport in Quito already using our system. And the sensors installed by our company are complying with, in compliance with international standards and international regulations. We don't record the passenger's face, protecting their privacy. And this is also very important today and in the future. Next, we have the possibility to upgrade our system because we can design and integrate a form of electronic anchor collection system anchored to the passenger counting system, which can be operated by ID card. This guarantees the collection of the tickets without the intervention of cash, and it has a zero cost of issuance for the user. Finally, we can say that the service will be on time because we can also track the passengers drop-off as well as generating the report. And by discriminating the stops, passenger load, and drop-off, stops can be reassigned or improved based on the number of users. So, finally, we think that Ecuador is a success story because at present our company owns 10% of the public transport units in Quito, and this improves the collection of the unit, forces drivers to keep the doors closed throughout the journey, and records the stops at the designated sites. Of course, it improves very well the system. So, talking for all the Preciso GPS team, thank you very much for your time. We'll be very happy to receive your questions or for contacting us.
Thank you very much, Myra. It's a nice presentation indeed. And we have a question from the audience. What is the accuracy of the sensor developed by you?
Okay, so our sensors were the first developed before the implementation of the Wialon system. So they have a very high accuracy. The accuracy is assured because we have this blocking alert feature, and we can detect when the bars are not functioning well. And yes, the accuracy is very high. I cannot give you a number right now because that is like our technicians' data, but I will ask them. Thank you.
Fine, thank you very much, and we wish you to have a really good day. Thank you for participating.
Thank you. Thank you too.
Thank you,
Have a
Myra.
good day.
Bye-bye.
So, many times today we mentioned how important the safety of passengers is. And now we are prepared to dive into details with the panel discussion revealing how passenger safety can be increased using video telematics. By the way, a little bird told me that very soon Gurtam will present a completely new way of working with video-based solutions. No details for now, but stay tuned. The panel discussion is hosted by our colleague Ksenia Dole, VP of Technology Partnerships, Wialon. Hi Ksenia, we are so happy to see you today.
Hi team, hi Victoria. Thank you so much for having me today. You did a really great job choosing the topics because I liked all the presentations that we had so far.
Well, we should really thank our experts who kindly agreed to share their valuable insights with us. So now we are looking forward to learning more about video telematics, so I'm passing the microphone to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rika. So, dear audience, welcome to our panel discussion, passenger safety and video telematics use cases. As my colleagues showed at their opening speech at the very first presentation, passenger transportation is not only about efficiency. It's usually about safety. Safety of the people on board and on the street, safety of the fellow drivers on the road and their passengers. The route can be perfectly optimized, the tickets can be paid, the bus can arrive on time, but if your driver is a fast and furious type, your transportation company won't survive for too long. And it's not even about the drivers that are taking risks, it's about us, it's about people being people. We get hurt, we get distracted, or we can forget to fasten the belt, and the price, unfortunately, can be huge. According to the United States Department of Transportation, in 2019, only in the US, more than 3,000 people lost their lives due to distracted driving. World Health Organization names speeding, non-use of the seatbelt and distracted driving among the reasons why 1.25 million people die each year in traffic accidents. So during this panel, we will see what video telematics can do to lower this toll, and our experts will present their video solutions and how it could be applied to increase passenger safety. We will answer the questions from the audience, and for sure I have prepared the questions of my own. So allow me to present to you Jens Bertelsen, Global Partner Manager at Hikvision.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity to discuss this. Some sad numbers you just presented.
Also, I want to present you Robert Donahue, Channel Sales Director at Surfside.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you, and I appreciate you all sticking around. I know it's been a long day and late for a lot of you globally here, so thanks for your attention today.
Yeah, you are the lucky one because it's morning for you in the US. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. And also, I wanted to remind our audience to use the chat on the YouTube channel to leave the questions to contribute to the discussion. We will do our best to answer the questions during our panel discussion. So, Rob, would you be so kind to start with your presentation and kind of dig deep into your solution?
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. So I want to take a little different tact today on what we're going to present. And Lytix is the company name for us here, and the product is called SurfSight. And what I wanted to do was start very high level, where we do a lot of data collection. So we have a video-based telematics solution, obviously, and that solution is capturing data most specifically focused on the driver. There's two ways that video can be encompassed in, we're talking about mass transit or pupil transit. And for us, we're actually focused on the driver behavior. And we are trying to identify where the driver can actually improve and therefore provide a safer ride for not only the passengers on the bus, but we have a terrible problem here in the United States with pedestrians. Cell phones are often the scourge of civilization in some ways. They make our lives easier, but at the same time offer a terrible amount of distraction. And it's not just for drivers, it's often for pedestrians. We have many cases here in the US where pedestrians are not paying attention and they're actually walking right out into the street and they're being struck by vehicles, and particularly by transit buses. We did a study of our database of over 700,000 vehicles. These are majority are US based, but we do have a global presence. And we looked at our different areas of business. So we focused on the trucking space, solid waste, government, services industry, and in particular transit. And what we found among 800,000 risky events, so these were events that were triggered based on the driver doing something. They were swerving, they were braking, or it might have been an MVAI, machine vision and artificial intelligence, trigger point that gave us time to take pause and to look at these videos. And we had over 800,000 events captured, and this was actually for 2019. And we saw that 57% of the high severity collisions attributed to just basic traffic violation behaviors, such as going too fast for the conditions, and that could be because it's dark, it's crowded, it's raining, or a failure to stop, meaning they didn't come to a complete stop at a stop sign. And that's something that often happens when you're dealing with kind of city driving, where people are in a little too much of a rush and they don't completely clear the stop sign. For behaviors, for drivers, we saw the most prevalent ones were late response, meaning they weren't looking far enough ahead in front of them, a near collision, and that could be with a vehicle or an object or a pedestrian. Again, incomplete stops, following distance, where they're too much in a rush and they're not giving themselves enough space to stop between the vehicle in front of them, and ironically, driver unbelted. One thing that we have not seen a lot of when it comes to operators of mass transit is cell phone usage. That profession seems to have done a good job of really keeping their cell phones away while they're driving. So that's nice to see, but there are other places where they can improve and become safer behind the wheel. When we did look at the transit industry compared to all of our others, we did see that they were 31% more likely to be involved in a near collision, unavoidable. And what we mean by that is someone either cut in front of them, or there was a situation where the driver, no matter what they did, they couldn't avoid that near collision. And again, we believe that that comes from the areas that most mass transit vehicles operate in, which is usually heavily trafficked, a lot of pedestrians, a lot of pieces, and also when you're moving in and out of traffic to cut to bus stops and things like that, there's often a lot of other parked vehicles or vehicles idling that are often in the way. And then also we saw that incomplete stop, and then the food and drink is a big piece for us. So although drivers are putting their cell phones down, we are seeing that there are other distractions involved related to eating or drinking. So the way that we look at this and how we try to be safer and try to keep people more involved with the driving access is we're actually accessing data from accelerometer, where events are being triggered, and those are kind of those close calls. But we also have the ability using machine vision and artificial intelligence to trigger events or video clips, what we want to pay attention to, using machine vision and artificial intelligence. And this is a hot topic in the space these days, but we really feel like we have accomplished a lot and are able to offer some really unique solutions around this. So what we do is we have the ability to, again, so machine vision is a computer where it's, or a lens that's something, so a camera. They often use this in bottling. So Coca-Cola, when they're bottling, they want to make sure they're at the proper fill rates. But then you have intelligence built in where a computer can actually analyze behavior and see what's going on. And when we marry those two together, that's where we get this machine vision and artificial intelligence. You're often seeing it in vehicles that are being offered today with this active safety or advanced distraction safety, where it's doing things around following distance, or if you avoid your lane, it's either correcting or beeping at you. So we're getting used to this type of technology, but we're starting to offer this in an aftermarket product that's going to give drivers insights to get them to correct that behavior and to be a little safer on the road. Our SurfSight camera has the ability to do alerts in cab as well as audio alerts. So we can trigger based on behavior and get them back into the task at hand, which is driving and being safe on the road. As well, we do have the ability to continuously record either inside the vehicle or out in front of the vehicle. And we're able to be very concise as to how much is allowed. A lot of our European customers and partners have very strict regulations around GDPR about how much video can actually be recorded. And we're able to be flexible enough to work with partners in that exact type of scenario. And as far as what we can capture, we have the ability to see things like handheld device, driver unbelted, driver smoking, food or drink, and then overall general distraction. And one thing that's very unique about the way that we do the machine vision and artificial intelligence is when we're talking about things like a handheld device, we're not just looking for a phone to come up into the image, right? What we're actually looking for is the human behavior associated with that. So we're looking for where they're holding it to their ear, they're moving their mouth, their eyes are averted, and they're clicking away. Those are the things that we're looking for and try to identify, and that's what makes this machine vision artificial intelligence that we offer a little more advanced than most out there. And hopefully with a proactive system like ours, and more reactive or kind of capture everything systems that are also on most of the mass transit or buses that we're on, you're able to get a full picture of how to keep your passengers safe, how to keep your driver safe, and just as important, how to keep the people around those vehicles safe as well. So thank you. I hope this has been informative and looking forward to your questions.
Thank you so much, Rob. So allow me to take a look at the chat. We don't have any questions so far, so
Sandy,
dear audience, please don't hesitate. Hi, do you hear me? Do you hear me?
We're not hearing you.
Oh my. Okay, so we are checking what's going on. Yeah, that's wonderful because I started to pray, to be honest. Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. So we don't have any questions for you in the YouTube chat so far, but the audience, in case anything comes to your mind, please don't hesitate. And I am saving my questions to the very end of this panel. So Jens, could you please take the microphone and also do the presentation of what Hikvision is doing in terms of passenger safety and video telematics?
So very, very happy to take that opportunity. And I just to confirm, you can see my presentation now, right?
Give us a second. No.
Brilliant. So yeah, I wanted to go through specifically this topic, but also touch a little bit upon video surveillance in general. In transportation. But first, the ones that listened into the earlier presentation that Oleg did, he already touched upon the video surveillance, the driver behavior and the AI side of things and what you can use it for. So So I think that was a great segue, and I think the presentation from Rob was pretty good, and I'm impressed by that. So just wanted to give you a quick glance on our background as a company, Hikvision. We are relatively known in the video surveillance space. That's our background. We have a global reach. And so wherever Gurtam goes, we would be there and well supported and distributed in all areas. So that should give the confidence that there wouldn't really be any areas where you couldn't match this up as a combined solution. So just like Gurtam, I'm very impressed throughout the day with the whole ecosystem that you've built up with the great solutions. We kind of come from the same background, the same philosophy that 1 + 1 = 3. So we also have our own programs for this, and that's actually where we're teaming up and being integrated, into the system. So we highly appreciate that. But what I really wanted to spend, some time on is the pain points, and I think we have seen a lot of those pain points today. So specifically, what is it that video can do? And you see like 4 big areas here, and the first one, accidents, of course, a place where video really becomes undisputable evidence, particularly when you have like in-vehicle and outside vehicle footage. You can see exactly what's happened, and typically when that goes to court, that becomes very, very valuable. Also, when we talk about passenger safety, not only for physical harm, but unfortunately, in a lot of countries, you see a lot of robberies and thefts going on in public transportation. So again, the video side of things here can help clarify these things, and in some cases, even some real-time alerts can be generated and potentially catch offenders. And you're going to the bottom right. I think we saw some great solutions on fare collection. So again, using video can document whatever these cases. But really, what this session is about, and what Rob also alluded to, is the focus on the driver and using the AI side of things. Now, with the background of being very long time within video surveillance, obviously we've developed skills within AI, and this is also one of the areas where we'll look deeply into it. So in short, we are also looking at obviously the dozing behavior, where you get fatigued and you're not really paying attention. Smoking, typically that can be distraction. You kind of drop the cigarette, and it's not allowed in most public transportation. So we're looking for that. Not only the cigarette, but sort of the behavior that identifies that somebody is smoking. Phones, with driving, obviously, a huge distraction, as Rob just alluded to. Speeding, you have a lot of other data, not just the video, but you have a lot of other data. But in some cases, you also have that aggressive and really harsh driving behavior. And then, disputes with passengers. Unfortunately, that happens. So all in all, we use video technology and having a very, very broad range of cameras. I chose not to throw all of them in your face here, but we have, quite capable camera ranges for mounting, in vehicle, very subtle installations that get very good picture quality, looking at the driver, but also cameras that you can place like strategic places within the vehicle, whether you want to see, the exits, entrances, and then outside also, you're looking forward, looking backward, look to the sides, using it for blind spot detections and so forth. So the core here is, the skill to identify what the driver is doing. When we look apart from all the other good stuff that the video, in and around that vehicle can do. So really looking at what's the behavior of the driver. And, I know we may be discussing that, but in terms of the advanced driver assistance systems, where you kind of look ahead and try to predict, are you Are you going off lane? Are you, objects moving in front and, potentially causing a collision? So looking at the driver in this way, tries to catch these things, before they happen, if they would have been the guilt or the cause of the driver being not attentive. So a very, very good compliment, and trying actually to find, to discover things before they go wrong. Now, looking at obviously the real time side of things, and you can alert the driver when he is not paying attention, is good. It's critical and can save a lot of situations. But it can also be a tool, when you pull that data into the Gurtam system, the Wialon system, and use that as training material. Give good reasons to have discussions with the drivers that kind of repeatedly trigger alarms of this kind. So you can also use that in sort of a preventive way of educating your staff, and this is a good behavior, and this is what you need to be observant about. So you kind of give scores to the better drivers here. So definitely also an educational tool. We have had a lot of cases where you combine it with other sensors also in the vehicle. We've seen some cool solutions about counting the number of people coming in and so forth. We can also use video for that. But one of the cases that actually triggered me is a US one. Implementing the school bus doesn't necessarily speak to the point of the AI, but the use of video technology in the vehicles. So I know in a lot of states there's the by law, whenever the school bus stops and the lights are flashing, you can't pass it. That would be an offense. So we made a project where we actually have outside cameras looking at that and capturing number plates of people that would pass. That would be a violation. But also at the same time, providing alerts, alarms for the kids, already exiting the bus, that there's somebody coming here. So it's not only about the safety, once you're inside, but also outside. So again, the AI and the vision side of things is a great help in these kind of cases. So specifically, I'm not going to talk about cameras, but what is it that makes this recording and discovery of the AI possible? So we have a unit, a box that is ruggedized, obviously for in-vehicle mounting, and it can provide connect cameras to it that has a very, very good quality. You can attach a lot of other sensors to it, but you can also attach a lot of other output mechanisms. So whether it's a screen that the driver can actually view at, so he can see what's going outside, back in the vehicle. Are the students behaving? Anything that he needs to be aware of, but also outside the blind spots. We can attach other stuff like alarms, panic buttons to it that would call up to the central, so they can connect and actually view live. What is going on? Do they need to call for a backup? Is this a situation where we need like a second pair of eyes on it to identify? So we don't leave the driver, and the decisions exclusively on himself. Now the video retention is obviously local. And there are perfect mechanisms to protect it in case things go really bad, and you have a terrorist, very bad crash. So data will be protected. I alluded to the little bit of the intelligent analysis that you can attach to it, and it's specifically the AI when we look at the driver. And then so all in all, it's a very complete solution, and actually already used in a lot of places all over the world. So being with a global coverage, unfortunately it would be a too long list to show all the projects, but we have quite a few around the world. So as you can see, not all of them only like in public transportation, but it goes on to airports. When you think of airports and you have fuel vehicles driving. You definitely do not want to have drivers driving those vehicles being not attentive, driving in between airplanes. So that's also a use for it. The public transportation is obviously a very, very big part of this, but it goes into a lot of sectors that might fall a little bit outside just the public transportation. Goes into trains and those kind of projects as well. So that's actually all from my side, and talking about how we see this. Happy to take any questions on it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jan. So I think that we can jump directly into the questions that I prepared for you and Rob. Both of you, you spoke about different focuses for a video solution. It could be the driver, it could be everything which happens on the road. And my first question to you basically is, from your perspective, what is more important in terms of safety, ADAS and everything that looks on into the road, or driver behavior analysis and analysis of what the driver is doing? And Rob, if you don't mind to answer this question first.
Sure. So the ADAS technology is really interesting where when it comes to accident prevention, it is very efficient, right? So we're able to alert a driver when they're getting too close, when they are drifting out of their lane. We have done studies. We have our own technology that does this. We've partnered with some of the leading companies that do this type of technology. And what we've found is it works really well to alert someone. But there are times when the alerts are a little too late. They're going too fast, they're following too close, or something that happens that even though they're being alerted, it takes time for them to react and to actually prevent the inevitable collision. So we feel that getting to the root cause of that behavior is more important. So if you have an ADAS system that alerts just with the driver, it's a one-to-one peer review. So if I can put up with a device beeping at me 16 times a day as I follow too closely, that's fine. It's my time in the vehicle. But if you tie that in where that's actually alerting someone on the back end, and now my supervisor or safety manager or someone is going to have the conversation with me that those alerts were based on my habit of following too closely, and now if you can get me to not follow too close, well, I don't have to rely on the system to prevent that collision from taking place because someone steps on the brakes shortly. I've given myself enough space that I'm going to prevent that collision. So great technology. We sometimes get a little too reliant on technology to help prevent these collisions. It's still important for anyone that's out there that's has their operators. The operator still needs to do their job. They still need to make the appropriate turns. They need to be rocking and rolling in their seat, making sure that they're getting a view, looking for pedestrians. Even though we have all these warning systems, we still need drivers to be attentive and do their job properly.
Yeah, thank you so much for your answer. And Jens, could you please elaborate on that from your perspective, ADAS or driver behavior?
Yeah, well, so I actually completely agree on that perspective that Rob just gave. In brief or in short, the ADAS is kind of trying to rectify events that, as they are unfolding, which in some cases might actually be a little bit too late. But it again, as Rob alluded to, it doesn't go to the root cause of the issue, which is the driver. So whereas the driver status monitoring or the behavior is looking more inwards and actually trying to prevent things from unfolding in the first place. So I completely agree on that. So I don't think it shouldn't be a case or matter of you have to choose between either or. I think it's a great supplement to each other, and if you have the luxury of being able to have both, you're wearing both belt and buckles and whatnot. You got to think about whether you want to tackle the problem where it actually is, where you want to analyze the driver and have that conversation, as Rob just said, or get the right people in that behave properly, or just rely on the technology to save you, which it might be too late. So I completely agree on that perspective.
Yeah, thank you. And basically, my next question is deeply related to what we just discussed. So, from your perspective, what role video telematics plays in changing those driver behavior, and is it an effective tool for doing that? Jens, could you please continue?
Yeah. So it definitely is an effective tool. I mean, you can't dispute video, and I think it has three major effects here. One is alerting the driver when there's a situation that is not desired. So it kind of gets you attentive as a driver. But there's also the educational side of things, where you can take out and educate your drivers afterwards, and not to point fingers necessarily, but educate people on what's a good driving behavior and what's a bad driving behavior. And in the cases where it's repeated for one employee, you want to have that serious conversation. And thirdly, knowing that there is a system that's actually looking at you and reporting and logging, might actually, for a lot of the drivers, have them think twice and change their behavior. So I think it's a good triangle of these things that you kind of educate people, but also use it, when there is a situation.
Yeah, thank you. And Rob, can you please also answer the very same questions from your perspective? Video, is it a useful tool for changing driver behavior? What role does it play?
Yes, absolutely. So, sometimes you can't measure or you can't fix what you're not aware of. We always talk about how video, if a picture says 1,000 words, then a video shows 1,000,000. And it's amazing the amount of operators, or even myself, because I have this in here, you're not aware of those behaviors that you picked up over time, right? We might have been very focused as a driver when we first started, but we get a little lazy. We get a little, we let complacency come into what's going on. So maybe we don't quite fasten our seatbelt right away. Maybe we sneak a glance at our cell phone. So the ability for us to be aware of that is often important. One other point I'd like to make, though, is video in general, overall, it can really help in other areas as well, especially a solution like Hike Vision, where you have numerous cameras and different angles that you can get on the vehicle. Here in the US, we have a phenomenon, because we're such a litigious society, that when a mass transit bus is involved in a collision, it's very important to have video, because you want to know who's on the vehicle and who's off the vehicle. We've actually had cases where a bus will be involved in a collision, well, people will jump on and claim that they were injured. So really odd uses, but it's a really important aspect, and a system like Hike Vision is really great at capturing and saying, no, there are only 72 people or 17 people on the bus, not 72, when they all suddenly these claims start to come in. So it's very important.
Yeah, each region has its own peculiarities, as far as I can see. Yeah, thank you so much, Rob. Yeah, that's a bit crazy. Yeah, actually, my next question is more about like the technology that you just presented, and it might seem as a very very like stupid question, but being a fleet owner, like a simple customer, it's a bit difficult to choose between different AIs, because different manufacturers, they speak about, yeah, we have this artificial intelligence, but how to differentiate. And Jens, if you don't mind, can you tell us how to differentiate one AI from another, and how the fleet owner can choose the right one for his purposes?
Yeah. So of course, I could choose to be biased, but in this case, I don't think there's a clear answer to this. I think it really starts with the fleet owner that needs to properly analyze, what is it they're actually looking for? Is it just looking at a driver? Is it something else? So take the whole project into consideration. There's a lot of other elements than the actual just feature. There's the serviceability, how is this maintained? The durability, data collection. interaction with our systems, alarming. So there's a lot of factors going into this, and I wouldn't say it only relies on who do we think provides the best AI, but it's a combination of things. Then of course, when you as a fleet owner have probably identified that project, then go and pick it, and then do like a POC or see it for yourself on what's to your best liking. So I would say it becomes objective, and I can't probably there's a scientific way of specifically measuring this, but it comes in two stages. Figure out the project, what you want to achieve, all the other components. And then do a project and see for yourself what works best in your condition.
Yeah, thank you so much for your answer, and of course, Rob, your opinion on the very same matter.
Yeah, absolutely. The scope of the project really depends on what's going to drive it, and especially today, we have so many technologies that are out there, and they're all good, and they all have their different benefits. I think you have different solutions that are going to really focus on different areas. For us at Lytx and with our Surfside solution, we're really focused on the driver behavior. So we're not doing passenger counting and kind of closed circuit TV. We are truly focused on the behavior and trying to identify that behavior. So one of the things that we take advantage of is we have a large database of driving. And what I mean by that is with our 700,000 devices that we have out there, our core product, which is a drive cam product, that's something we sell direct. Whereas the Surfside product is partnered with Wialon. What we do with that is we actually have a human review center. So we have every event that gets triggered come into our human review center, and we're reviewing over 2 million events per month. And we're looking for the different behaviors that we see in there, up to 70 different behaviors. And what we're able to do in helping to train the algorithms behind the MVAI is we're able to have our professional reviewers help to get that. So we feel like our behaviors that we're identifying are very accurate, which is important because you want to build the credibility with the driver, but also on the back end, you want to build the credibility with the fleet manager or the safety manager who's monitoring that. If they're getting 20 events per day or 20 events per week, if we're only 70% accurate, then they're going to have 6 false ones and they're going to start to get tired of it. Whereas we're over 90% accurate. So if they have 1 or 2, they can usually live with that. But what we really want to be able to focus on is, hey, here's something important going on. Here's a driver that's distracted or on the phone or not wearing their seatbelt, and allow you to get in front of that. And as we talked about, try to root out that behavior.
Yeah, as far as I can see, you're really doing your homework, analyzing human behaviors. Thank you so much for answering this question. The very last question that I have is basically, what could you say to those fleet owners that say like, video telematics is too expensive. I would prefer to rely on accelerometer data on the tracking device installed in the vehicle. It's just like, it's not for me. So Rob, what would you answer to this fleet owner?
Yeah, so the answer is you're getting only half the story or half the picture. A lot of the accelerometer data that you get is going to give you that you have a driver that stepped on the brakes 5 times really hard today. And if you ask the driver, it's always going to be someone else's fault. The person in front of them cut them off, or an animal ran out in front of them. But when you have video telematics, you have the entire picture. And what you're able to learn is, no, actually my driver was following too close, or they were distracted, or what was going on. As well, and when it comes to, again, here in the US or Europe, Canada, wherever it might be, where you have a lot of lawyers waiting for things to do, those collisions can become very expensive. And the idea that you have video of exactly what was going on, the exoneration of that can be very beneficial, and it can be a great cost savings.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rob. And Jens, maybe your opinion on that.
No, yeah, so, I would totally agree on that. So it's, what are you not getting with only using that data, right? And the video, the video evidence side of things, that can, exonerate drivers is extremely important. Particularly I think in the US, you're, as you said, Rob, just having guys waiting, doing crazy stuff, and that wouldn't only, it's not the only country, where that would happen. So you wouldn't get that with the other data. So you're missing out on that. So what you got to look at as a fleet owner, if you only look at the cost, fine, you are deselecting some areas that can potentially cost more. That's one side of things, and if you take it to a little bit broader scope, not just the AI, but also taking the other video aspects into the equation, you get an element of service that you would be able to provide that that data again wouldn't give you. So again, it's about the passenger safety. You don't get that with just pulling out the GPS data. The passenger safety, the service element of providing a safe environment. In school buses, so parents know that whenever they give off their kids, they're in a safe environment. So yeah, sometimes it pays off not just looking at the initial installation cost, but looking at the bigger picture over time and what you as sort of a brand even would potentially take as hits. Do you want to have the rumor of being the unsafest and most accident-filled transportation company? Probably people wouldn't want to travel with you, or do you want to get to the bottom of that? So you can spin a lot of I would say sad and funny stories around it, but the fact is that the video evidence just can't be disputed.
It seems that it kind of comes to the very same reasons that people implement in telematics at the very beginning. So yeah, it could seem like a huge investment, but it is an investment, and usually it kind of helps to avoid a very costly risks in terms of legal disputes, or even in terms of safety, lives, health, and so on. So dear speakers, thank you so much for the presentations that you did. Thank you so much for the expertise and for answering my questions, for staying with me at the very until the very end. So as our experts showed today, so video telematics is an effective tool that helps to improve passenger safety, coach drivers, introduce safer behaviors. It's growing industry, moving forward by the market's demand and the evolution of the technology itself. So it is estimated that the video telematics units in Europe and North America will reach 6 million by 2025. So let's make sure that we have all the tools to be part of this growth, to be part of this industry. In case you're interested to learn more about Hikvision and server-side solutions, newly integrated with the Wialon platform, so please don't hesitate to reach Janssen Rob, and also to reach Gurtam team at sales Gurtam.com for Wialon. So I'm dropping your contacts, guys, in the chat for people to see them. So thank you so much for being with us today, and hope our audience enjoyed this panel discussion and this conference in general, and see you at the next Gurtam meetups and events.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Ksenia. It was really nice. Ladies and gentlemen, our conference has come to an end. We hope that you enjoyed the presentations and the panel discussion. The full length will be available on our YouTube channel. Recording, of course.
The conference is over, but Gurtam initiatives are not. We'd like to remind you about our special competition, IoT Project of the Year. Organized in 2020 for the first time, this event gathered projects from all over the world, from Canada to Russia, from Mongolia to Colombia. This year, we also are looking forward to seeing ambitious and original projects from all over the world.
The competition will be held in 17 nominations, which means that each project will find its spot in the list of participants. Project submission lasts till the 5th of July, so you may wanna hurry to submit your applications. The members of Wialon community can submit their projects on my.wialon.com. But for those of you who work with different telematics platforms, we have a special form to fill in. All the details are available on our website, iotaward.gurtam.com.
Special thanks go to our dear speakers who are truly the experts in the passenger transportation industry. Thank you again for sharing your cases with the community. I bet there was a lot of extremely useful information that probably inspired someone to put this knowledge into practice. So thanks again for being with us. Take care and stay tuned.
Bye.